Hello, ladies, gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Lights Camera Discussion. But of course, this episode is not like the others. Well, it is like two of the others. No, one of the others, because the others were before the podcast happened. This is our Oscar special. So, if you don't know, this is actually how the podcast kind of started. We obviously did two specials before the podcast started, and decided to get right into it, and this is now obviously our second of the Oscars. So guys, I'm happy, delighted, excited to be in your presences today. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I say, we love getting together and having a bit of crack about films, but this is the big one, isn't it? And
It is.
I think there's I think this year, because we've all seen them all. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've managed to get through every single one. I think is massive. Yeah, really excited.
Collie?
Yeah, I'm buzzing for it as well. Like we were saying, this is kind of where it all began, and it's actually going to be weird going back to a normal episode next month because who we've chosen has only got four
Shame
films,
that,
so
yeah.
watching 27 this month. It was quite hectic, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to watching other movies soon.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Yeah, I can't wait for this. I think it's going to be a good one, and we've spoken off camera about this as well. We're going to try and keep it a bit less than the last one because it was two parts and both were like 3 hours long. So I think we can kind of narrow it down a
Passionate
little bit.
guys, got a lot to say.
Well, yeah, well, you do. We know that.
Yes.
Oh, me. Okay, so, well, let's stop beating around the bush and let us get straight in to the 2025 Oscar special. Our first category that we're going to be discussing is actually two categories, but melded together. We have the best cinematography / VFX. So the movies that are nominated are Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Maria, Nosferatu, The Brutalist, and Wicked. So, what we thinking? Collie, do you want to start us off a little bit with your fluted voice?
Is melged a word? Sorry, I just want to go back to that.
It's either
Is
It's
melged a word?
I think so.
I think melged is a word that is merged and molded
Yeah.
together of two words. So we've got
Listen,
new vocabulary around the podcast.
Yeah, I'm just creating words here, right?
Melged. Yeah, I'll have to take that one away. Yeah, anyway, right, yeah, so we'll crack on. So Alien Romulus was first on the list. So first and foremost, big fan of the franchise, so I was really excited for this. Fede Alvarez being the director. This is the only opportunity, I guess, that we're going to have to discuss Romulus, so I guess we can kind of go start to finish of it as quick as possible, although perhaps down the line we might be able to dissect this film a little bit more.
Maybe.
But yeah, I went to see this 3 times on opening weekend. In 4DX, in IMAX, and in Super Screen, and absolutely loved it. Purely from a cinematography level, I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. I think the blending of VFX and cinematography was brilliant. Obviously, it's VFX that it's nominated for, I believe. Then probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the only gripe, I guess, I'll say that, like, the low point before all the high points was the Ian Holm.
Yeah.
CGI. A lot of people were like upset because, like, why did they have to include him? But I think it was Mark Kermode was talking about it, is that his widow was asked, and she was very excited for it because I believe he felt he was left behind by Hollywood a little bit, and Alien was one of his favorite roles that he ever did. So from a kind of perspective of him and his estate and stuff like that, I thought it was pretty cool to see him. I just thought it was kind of Uncanny Valley-esque, but not even Uncanny Valley-esque. It was quite just poor quality. It looked like it was lower resolution.
Yeah.
That YouTube video, actually, that I shared the other day, those VFX artists kind of commented on that. But beside all that, going away from all that, I thought the xenomorphs looked really good. I thought the ship stuff especially looked amazing. And again, those VFX guys kind of talked about it. My favourite shot was the ship actually going into the asteroid belt, and that room shot of you're inside the room looking out, and the asteroids are taking out bits and bits of the room, coming closer and closer to you. I thought was absolutely excellent. So 99.9% of it was great, and I could see why it was nominated. That kind of Ian Holm bit was just a bit of a, oh, that looks a bit odd, and I don't really know why they needed to show him so much. And I think even some of the, do you know, when he was on the wee screen talking to them, that just looked like a video game. It looked kind of video game-esque. So that would be my only downer on it, I guess. I'll pass this to Todd, as I know Todd's quite a fan of the director and perhaps the film.
Yeah, just a tad. So I saw this twice at the cinema, and I've fallen in love with it. Like I say, I'm a big fan of Fede Alvarez anyway. But I think there's always a risk with like legacy sequels. I suppose you refer, that's what they call it, aren't they? To like a legacy sequel. But I thought the VFX. I'm with you on Ian Holm. I didn't have an issue with it from a ethical standpoint. I thought it was a really cool inclusion of like a call back to previous films and stuff. I thought what they could have done, which I think would have been really cool, was like kept him in a bit of shadow, like you could see it was him. You know, you could tell from the voice and from like bits of his face that it was him, but just give him that bit of mystique as well, because he is obviously he's probably an antagonist, isn't he, in the whole thing? You know, he's setting them up to work for Wayland Yutani. But yeah, I thought the stuff on the first planet was incredible. I thought, like, you got that real sense of place. Again, the asteroid belt was just ridiculous. But I love that, like, it's goopy's the only word that I can use to describe it, and that feels very silly. But like that when the sort of the egg that's stuck on the wall, when it's like dripping and like the acid's coming through on that lad, like that was amazing. And then the acid hallway scene was
Unbelievable.
breathtaking, absolutely ridiculous. And it what like obviously the float in itself looked amazing, but just going through it, the pulse rifle, it was, yeah. I think it's a testament to the fact that like it could have gone off the rails a bit. It was, the original was so practical and so well renowned. Like you could have gone down that dodgy CGI route through the whole thing. But yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about the whole film at some point in the future. But yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, I know the Alien franchise. I'm not as like, I don't have much of an affinity to it as like maybe you guys do, especially Todd. Like I like the films and stuff. Okay, Collie as well. I like the films and stuff. But I've never been like, oh, aliens. So like watching
I've
it
done
for
that on
me.
numerous occasions. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Watching it, like I enjoyed it and stuff as well. From a VFX point of view, though, I thought it was phenomenal, like really, really well done, and really, again, touching on the Ian Holm point. Apart from the Ian Holm point, everything seemed really natural and like properly felt like it was real. And from a VFX standpoint, that's what your end goal is to make it as real as possible so that the line between VFX and real life is blurred. And I thought it really was, and it did that so well, especially that asteroid scene. Like for me, that was a proper highlight. And I would say as well, I saw it at home. I didn't get to see it on a big screen and stuff. Well, my TV, which is decently sized, but not like a cinema
How many
screen.
inches are we talking?
Me or the TV?
Both combined. I'll make up the difference.
Combined
36 inches. Oh, well, there we
33,
go.
I was gonna say, yeah.
36 was kind, obviously.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
didn't realize you got 35-inch TVs.
Well, I'll use VFX to make it look bigger. But no, yeah, I thought it was very well done from a VFX standpoint. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about Alien on this because, as I kind of alluded to, we might be talking about that more in.
Just one more thing. I was going to say spoilers, but we're obviously going to be spoiling all these films. But the alien baby, at the end, when I was watching that for the first time, I was like, that's got to be like VFX or some sort of CGI. And apparently, like the only real bit of CGI on him was his tail, I think, growing at one point, and then some of his back, perhaps. But have you guys seen some of the behind the scenes stuff of the basketball player playing? It's fucking weird, man. It's weird that a guy's got that kind of
Physique.
I don't know.
Physique,
yeah. Bizarre, but I thought that was really cool. And again, like there was one bit of that actually. It was like the baby in the egg, the CGI like baby thing. It looked quite clearly CGI. Obviously, it was, but it looked like lower resolution as well when you watch it back compared to some of the films. So I don't know really what was going on there. But again, worthy nomination though. I think like they had loads of practical sets and stuff, and then obviously just built that out with VFX, like the practical face huggers and stuff like that. Were really good, and then obviously you could tell that some of them were obviously CGI when they were jumping about in that. But again, the idea behind the VFX is that it blends practical into computer generated.
Definitely. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is Better Man, the Robbie Williams biopic. Todd, do you want to take us away about Better Man? I know you maybe enjoy the film.
Yeah, well, we went to see Robbie Williams live a couple of years ago. I'm a big fan, and then been to see it twice. Both times with my mum, who's self-professed biggest Robbie Williams fan in the world type thing. Yeah, it was just so for me. One of the things I kept saying over and over again was, I'm forgetting that I'm watching a CGI monkey. Like you're watching it, and he just becomes part of the furniture. Like he's just there with everybody else, and it's only when like the more sort of like you see him in the audience, and it's not just the Robbie Williams on stage, like the one who's like threatening and stuff. That was where I was sort of, oh yeah, it's a CGI monkey, and like getting taken back out of it a little bit, not in a bad way, like just remembering that it's CGI. One of the things, Collie, the video that you shared of those VFX guys that I didn't think about in any way, shape, or form was the fact that every costume had to be CGI as well. Like that, I was saying, oh yeah, it's a guy in a mocap suit, but didn't really think about the fact that every single costume that moves perfectly, like it is CGI. That is ridiculous to me, and it's I don't like when you say about Ian Holm and like that looking like low res or like sort of looking different to the background. I don't think there was a point in time where I got hit with that. And I was trying to be aware of it on the second watch through because obviously aware of it for the podcast. And there wasn't anything where I was just like, oh, that's a bit off or that's a bit different. I know everybody talks about it, but that rock DJ sequence is stupidly good. Like, it's not my favorite bit of the film, but we're not talking about the actual. We're just talking about the VFX. The VFX in that was just seamless from start to finish, absolutely flawless. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Collie?
Yeah, I think like Todd said, you quickly forget that it's a CGI monkey just because it is so well blended into the background. I think from a pure VFX perspective, they do it great. There wasn't any scene that I was like, oh, that looks dodgy. That looks like he isn't interacting with whatever person he was interacting with, whether he was dancing or talking or whatever. So I thought the quality of it was really, really good. I wasn't like a massive like I think we'll go back to Romulus by the way because we didn't give our ratings, but for this I gave it like 4 out of 5 because I thought the story was quite good. I like Robbie Williams as well, but he is a bit of a egomaniac, a little bit, quite notoriously. And it just had a little bit of Bohemian Rhapsody about it. I think like it just I don't know. There was some kind of disconnection between me and the story at times. I was like, did that really happen? Like, I just didn't buy all of it. I think some of it was with like artistic license and that, like all the take that conversations and stuff, like all that time in the band. I'm like, is that really, really what is happening? Or is that like Robbie's perspective? Which I guess it has to be because that's what the film is. But yeah, I don't know. I find him quite an annoying guy, to be completely honest. But I enjoyed the story, and the high rating was because of I guess the efforts of the VFX team. And it was it was Weta, I believe, that did the VFX for this, which is going all the way back to the Lord of the Rings trilogy and stuff. So they know what they're doing.
Oh. Yeah, no, I loved it. I thought it was a phenomenal film. Again, I'm a big Rob Williams fan. I think for yourself, Collie, obviously not liking him, kind of, it's almost like going with a handicap anyway, isn't it? Sort of thing. So I completely appreciate obviously the not liking him because he is a polarizing sort of character and stuff. But yeah, I loved it. I thought again the VFX is just absolutely spot on. Some of the scenes with like him as a kid as well and talking to his grand, like were so moving, and like the way it was his eyes for me that really like kind of did it. Like you could tell that the eyes were like I don't know if they did actually use his real eyes or someone said that. I'm sure I read somewhere, but it was I think that's what helped humanize the character that we were watching. And I thought it was such a brave choice as well to do it as like a CGI monkey, because it allowed them to do these more wild kind of scenes, things that potentially wouldn't be as um able to be done in like normal sort of biopic films and things as well. I mean, the fight scene, Debworth with himself, like that came out the blue for me. I didn't expect that to happen, but it's such a way to for him to obviously, like metaphorically fight his inner demons and things, and his sort of like fighting against his own self-worth and stuff. I thought it was just phenomenally made, and again, the actual fight scene itself with the mud and like the grit and stuff, it was just so well done, and an absolute testament to VFX team. I thought it was a really exceptional use of CGI.
The flayed one from the Rock DJ video, do you know when he
Mm.
takes off his flag? That looked incredible. That did look really.
Mhm.
But from a film perspective, halfway through, it was like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And like
Fair enough.
even though it was blended into it, and like I never noticed him being a monkey like during the film, you get used to it. I still come all the way back to it was like, why is he a monkey? You know, from a film like it's a choice, but I'm still just like, why is he a monkey?
Yeah. I like the fact, like, because so for Freddie Mercury, who has a very distinctive look when we talk about Bohemian Rhapsody, and like Elton John has like a really distinctive look for Rocketman or whatever. Robbie Williams, as much as he's a handsome sort, like he doesn't have like any of those ridiculous features. I know, sorry, he doesn't have any of those ridiculous features or anything like. Do you know what I mean? That those are the, and I think who'd you get to play him where it doesn't take you out of it, and I think as
You'd
well, like you
find
say,
somebody though. You'd find somebody in the whole
I
wide
know,
world
but
of actors. You'd find, and they don't even have to look completely like him. You know what I mean?
no, I know, but I just think it's like,
But it sets it aside from other biopics, I guess.
yeah,
I think that's the thing. It makes it unique. I think the whole thing about being a monkey was that he saw himself as a performing monkey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a bit nose like.
it is on the nose. It absolutely is on
Yeah,
the
on the
nose.
nose,
But
yeah.
I think it works. I think
But this is a
works
guy
for
who's
that.
notorious for like hosting live concerts and then singing one line and then letting the audience sing the rest of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
yeah, I will not have live Robbie Williams slander on here.
I've seen him live, and I know for a fact that's what it's like. So
And we loved every minute of
you
it.
know this one, Angels. You know this one.
Fair enough. Sorry. So you said you wanted to do ratings after each film, the ones that we're not going to be talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh,
Going
we can do it
forward.
at the
We're not
end. We
gonna
can do it at
move.
the end of the category. We can run through at the
Okay.
end of the category.
Okay,
That's fine.
cool, perfect. Okay, so on to June Part 2. We're also going to talk about this film, well, a little bit more later on.
Not as much as
but
we should be, but
not as much as should be, yeah. But shall we
Not that
talk about?
anybody's better.
Shall we talk about it from obviously like a technical standpoint, basically? Collie, do you want to maybe start us off, seeing as you have maybe seen this a couple times more than us? I think?
yeah. What have I logged it now? 15 times.
Jesus
I've
Christ.
averaged once a month. Or well, actually, probably it's only been out for 10 months. So yeah. Anyway, 1.5 times a month. Yeah, just it built on. Obviously, we did Villeneuve as an episode last year, and it just built on everything that was in part one from a scale standpoint. So it's nominated for both cinematography and VFX. So I guess we'll double down it with this one. One of the scenes that stands out for me is the worm riding scene. I thought that was absolutely incredible. First from a VFX standpoint, first from a cinematography, then we'll go to VFX. The shot of him on top of the dune with the worm hooks, for lack of a better term, and he's pacing back and forth, left and right, and the camera's panning with him, and you see way in the background the worm emerging. And then it cuts back to like Javier Bardem and Zendaya and that, and their faces being like, "Shit, that's a big worm, Paul." Um, and then obviously it's coming closer and closer. And we'll just speak about the score here, actually, because obviously it's not nominated, which is an absolute disgrace. But it just starts like booming and booming, and it's just perfectly partnered with the cinematography here. And then obviously the VFX comes in. Like the worm just looks like it's a however 400, 500 meter long sandworm, like practical coming towards it. And obviously, like it blends perfectly when he's actually he's on top of the worm trying to stand up. And it's a half a practical set there probably, and then half VFX with the sand whirling around it. I was just absolutely blown away by that scene in particular. And again, and then maybe one more cinematography before I pass it over to you is the shot of him coming just as he arrives to the south, and he's just walking on his own with his hood up and stuff, and in the background a worm just like emerges from the ground and like slams down, and then he's walking through the crowd, and there's that aerial shot of him, and you can just everyone looks the same in terms of from the head down, but you can tell it's him, and he's just like parting the sea of people. Just properly just made me like literally jaw drop. That's quite a cliche, obviously, but I was just sitting watching it like you're a kid on Christmas. Yeah, just those are a few of the standout points from June for me from a cinematography and VFX standpoint. Massey?
Yeah, one of the things that really stood out for me, again, more cinematography wise, was the black and white sequences with Austin Butler. Like black and white sequences can be done really well, or can be done like it can be out of necessity, or it could be like an artistic sort of choice. And this was also artistic, and it works so well. The obviously the beautiful bald head, because bald people are obviously a higher class, just works perfectly with the sort of going against like the black and the white, and I think it looks absolutely phenomenal. And you don't need color there for it to be so beautiful. The film is obviously a lot of it was like oranges and stuff with like the sand and stuff, but like seeing it as black and white, it almost made it feel like a different film, but it works so well. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Just the fight as well, towards it was the end basically, with Austin Butler and Timothée Chalamet, with the backdrop of like the sun, like or is it, the sun's setting, isn't it, or is it rising? I can't remember if whatever
The
way.
sun's there.
The sun's there, yeah. The sun's there doing its thing, and you see like it's like the silhouettes of them fighting for a lot of it. Like again, it's just absolutely incredible. It just looks phenomenal, and it's quite simple as well. It's just that there's not much lighting in terms of on the characters. It's using a lot of the lighting from the background. But yeah, it just looks absolutely phenomenal. And again, the VFX, like you say, anything that comes with the sandworms is so well done. It could easily fall into like a sort of you can tell that it's like fake, like it's a CGI sort of thing, but it feels so real, it looks so real, and I think that's an absolute testament to the VFX artist. But yeah, I mean, Greg Fraser as a cinematographer is just absolute top tier. Is he coming back for the next one? I can't remember if it's he's come back for this one.
I don't know if he's officially doing it now or not. I think he might be, because Batman 2's been delayed a year.
Yeah.
So I think this is shooting in this summer, and I think Batman 2 is next year shooting. So
Okay.
I think Batman 2 is now 2027.
Right.
So I think
He can
there
do
was
both.
going to be an overlap, but I think he's doing both now.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if it wasn't going to do this one or he wasn't going to do Batman Part 2. I knew there was like some sort of overlap, but
I'm sure I seen that he was going to be doing both now.
Good. Good.
Just quickly before I pass it to Todd, just thought I'd touching on when you're talking about the black and white scenes. What was really cool about that was actually when you're in the box with... Oh, no, sorry. It's when the Emperor's emerging, and it's all in colour and stuff. And then he goes... Because what it is, I think they explain that it's their sun does that. That's why it looks like that for them. It's something to do with like the sun on that planet. So he's in colour as he's emerging, and then as he gets into the sunlight, it goes black and white. And it's the same way in Leia Sadu, however we say her name's box, that there's the Bene Gesserit that appear, and let me get this right. They're in black cloaks, and then as soon as they emerge into the sun, it's white on screen. Like it inverts it and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool to show you that it's the sunlight that changes it. Because then obviously when they're inside, she's seducing Feyd-Rautha and stuff like that. They're all in color at that point. So it's not like everything on this planet is black and white. It's only when it's in the sunlight is that it's black and white, which I thought was really cool. And it was some new IMAX technology that they used, some sort of infrared technology that they used to do the black and white stuff. It wasn't the same as Oppenheimer's black and white sequences, because I think that was the first time ever filmed in black and white, but it was something that they did either post-production or in camera that allowed you to see it in that black and white color. So anyway, sorry, Todd.
No, that black and white scene was incredible. I think as well, when you say about like making choices, like the choice to have fireworks that weren't fireworks, like those, that whatever that was sort of like going off into the sky, however you want to describe them.
Gloopy. Use the term gloopy again, Todd. I like
Gloopy,
that one.
yeah.
Feels like the inside of my nose.
There's the secrets to VFX. Yeah, it was like, I thought that was really cool. That aerial shot, I know you've already said, but that was the one for me where I was just like, holy shit. And I think it helped as well that was the moment, and I know we'll talk about actors, but that was the moment that I was like, Timothée Chalamet really sort of like, he fit the part anyway, but that was the moment where I was just like, this is him here, that he is Paul Atreides. It was incredible. I thought the explosions where they running between the legs of that machine, it was again, looked at it the other day. It is so well done, and I think it comes back to what Matthew was saying, where like this film so many times could have looked so shit. Like obviously it would never, because our man Denny would never let it. But like it had there was so much to it, and I think one of the things is difficult is that with the cinematography being so good, with the VFX being so good, people are just are going to overlook it, because that's just what happens. You know, this is what we see from the first film. We expect the exact same again. I think even things like the ornithopter,
The helicopter.
The big helicopter thing looked incredible. Like the way that, you know, it's one of those films that'll go down as, if it doesn't win, one of the biggest sort of snubs type thing in Oscar history.
Yeah,
But anyway,
just probably one more from me that I forgot about. It's the opening sequence, and it's when the Harkonnens walk off the dune. Name of the film, nice. And then they're going up that rock face and stuff like that. Again, that's like 5 minutes into the film or whatever, and I was like, "What the fuck is it?" Like, that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And it's funny, actually, I got to see this in 70mm, not IMAX, but 70mm. So obviously that means it's a lot warmer and stuff like that from a tone perspective. And that opening sequence in the kind of dusk setting, it was like bright red. It looked incredible. It looked so good.
Right. Let's go from June Part 2 to another cinematography nomination. Emilia Perez. We're going to talk about this a lot, thankfully. So let's just talk about just the cinematography from Emilia Perez. Todd, why don't you start us off?
We won't, obviously. I'm trying my best to stick on VFX cinematography. Sorry. Yeah, how this is nominated alongside, like, there are other films in this category that like weren't for me or whatever, and you can recognize the cinematography. I think there was. Let's start with the one positive as the cinematography in this film, and I think it was the market shot, like the market scene where it was kind of tracking Zoe Saldanga's character through the market. I thought it was really interestingly shot. It was kind of it was really well lit as well, which was interesting. Like the way that it, as she's moving through the different market stores and then going through the groups, I thought that was really interesting. Well done for getting one scene that was worthy of mention. It wasn't a comparison to anything else, but the rest of it was dog shit. Like I genuinely don't understand. I can't even remember what the song was, but it's where is it the cleaners dancing in the background and she's singing in the foreground, and it looked like a really shit sort of black box theatre scene. That's all I could describe it as. The famous sex change operation song where they're walking through that surgery looked like the most sterile. I know a hospital is supposed to be sterile, but in terms of light, in terms of soul, whatever it was missing. And I don't know how this has been nominated. I don't know who's got a hold over who. It's the least creative. It was there's nothing that I haven't seen before that's been done better. Does that make sense? Like I've seen everything that Amelia Perez does, but done better in terms of cinematography and other things as well that we'll get onto, I'm sure. Colin, sorry.
I hate doing this, but I've literally got fuck all to say on this film when it comes to cinematography. And even from, I know it's not nominated for VFX, but we'll group this all in. See the shot where that car falls off the cliff towards the end and blows up? It looked like it was fucking PlayStation 2 graphics or something. It looked so bad. It looks so bad, and again, we'll talk about this film like obviously quite a lot, but I just don't get it. I just didn't find any singular shot, even that one that you're talking about, Todd. Like, I didn't find any of it going, oh, this is a really good looking film. I just thought it was so jarring. It was so jarring. No, I nothing convinced me watching this film that it should be nominated cinematography, especially when we've just talked about Dune. Which I know I'm biased about Dune. I'm trying to keep that at bay for the most part for this episode, but it's like there's levels to things.
Yep.
And this is certainly showcasing that.
That's it. When you talk about levels, we've just spoke about Greg Fraser and like how he's going to be doing the next Dune and Batman Part 2 and stuff as well. And then we come to this, and it's just like I agree. There's fuck all. There's one shot, or it's not even like a shot. It's like a moment where Zoe Saldana in like the red leather suit, and she like puts her arm up. That looks pretty cool. That's it. Like I'm trying to be positive here. By the way, I'm trying to be very positive because as we'll see about Emilia Perez, I maybe wasn't his biggest fan. But yeah, like cinematography wise, it's in terms of like getting a nomination for an Oscar, this is not the cream of the crop which Oscars should be. It's nowhere near the cream of the crop. It's the backwash at the bottom. That's how bad it is. Like it's just nothing. Let's not spend too much time on that. Moving on to the next one, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, obviously for visual effects. We've spoken about one monkey, so let's talk about a couple more. Collie, thoughts on the VFX?
I believe some of these are apes, not just monkeys. But,
apologies, and feathered.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of this franchise from Rise of the Planet of the Apes through Dawn and through War. Maybe down the line we'll talk about that. But for me, that trilogy is possibly my favorite modern trilogy after Lord of the Rings. So the best trilogy in maybe the last 25 years. So for this, when it was announced and stuff, because I guess this is the only opportunity we're going to get to talk about it, so we'll explore a little bit more than the VFX. I really, really enjoyed this film, and from a VFX standpoint, it's like untouchable for me. I think it's amazing. There was none of it that I thought looked like, I was gonna say fake, but obviously you know it is because like they're not, monkeys aren't talking and stuff, or apes aren't talking rather. Sorry. But even from the first sequence when they're climbing up to get that egg, there's the three of them, and they're trying to get the eggs and stuff at the beginning, like the parkour sequences, the way that the camera tracks them, while he's obviously potentially falling to his death and stuff like that, I thought was excellent. So from the big grandiose set pieces, I thought I absolutely nailed it. But and again, I'm really glad I came across that VFX video because it kind of valid, because I was really, really high on this film from a VFX standpoint, but then like when I was watching the other films, I was like, I don't know if people will like rate this as highly as the other ones, but they were blown away by it, and even watching it in the cinema, that sequence on the bridge when the orangutan's in the water, and the water is obviously like darkened his fur and it's flown over his face. Like that just looked like they'd actually put somebody in a suit and then like VFX'd it after the fact. But as we know from their breakdown, it was purely layer upon layer upon layer of VFX interacting with a real person. Yeah, I just thought it was absolutely incredible, and they've obviously had a lot of experience working on the recent trilogy, and they've carried that forward into this one, and it was some of the best VFX I think I've ever seen in film.
Good stuff, Todd.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, again, sharing that video was brilliant just because it kind of, for me, highlighted. I could see that it was incredible, but then when it goes into detail, and I think I've rewatched it since, it's things like the dust on, like, so when they fight and they hit the ground, the dust on the fur is just, like, you feel like you have to pause it to look because you're trying to, I was trying to be, like, overly critical of it after it having so much praise in that video and being like, you know, where is it going to look fake? Is there anything? And there's absolutely nothing. Water is one of the hardest things to get right, and those sort of like I said, that moment with the it's the orangutan, isn't it? And the main last, like, in that water, it looks so real. It looks so incredibly real. The fight with the fire versus the like taser cattle prod type thing, that for me could have been done so badly. We've seen so many poor CGI fights, especially in like comic book type films, and it was handled so well. And again, there's things that I probably don't think about that I really need to start thinking about. Where with the VFX, the lighting then becomes another thing to layer on. It becomes like another thing to add on top of it. It was just. It's one of those where there's other films that I want to win more, like as in because I like because like again, I love the trilogy. I think the trilogy, the original trilogy, is incredible. I wasn't so hot on
Not
this.
the original trilogy.
Oh, sorry, not the original trilogy. No. The the first three films of its reincarnation. But yeah, I wasn't so hot on it in terms of like from a film standpoint. Like it wasn't. It's good. But in terms of, so I want other ones more, but I think this is one of the most deserving ones, if not the most deserving. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, so I mean, totally agree. Like, I think just from a visual effects standpoint, it's almost flawless. Like some of the stuff that they did, I think a lot of it was probably helped by the actual performances as well. Like Kevin Durant, he seemed to like properly embody his character, and he did a lot of like the ape training and stuff as well. And I've seen like a lot of stuff that he's done where he almost turns into an ape in real life, puffs out his chest and walks around, and I think that makes it even easier for the VFX folks. So obviously it's a huge kind of shout out to him for being able to do that and things. But yeah, I think you're right with the water, and water's like notoriously hard to render and stuff. And I think they just did it absolutely perfectly. I'm the same as you, Todd. There's another one I want to win more, but I think this has to take it. Like, it's just purely like absolutely flawless, absolutely flawless. And again, because we're also going to talk about this just for the only time in this podcast, I thought it was a good story as well. I don't think it was maybe as good as not the original ones, but any of the singular reincarnation
the
ones.
Reboot trilogy. We'll call
The
it
reboot trilogy. There we go.
Reboot trilogy. Good.
Yeah, so I don't think it's as good as Tim Burton's one. But no, but I think it's a great kicking off point for like a new trilogy. I really enjoyed it.
So
right.
I just want to go back to one more thing about that, because I've not watched it yet, but I think it was on the home release, like the Blu-ray. I don't think they added it on Disney Plus. There's a no CGI version of it.
Oh wow.
Oh no way!
And you'll get to see them like with the mocap suits and stuff like that.
That'd be great to watch.
So that'd be really cool to watch.
Definitely. Okay, look. Now moving on to the next one for cinematography is Maria. Collie.
Good.
From a film perspective, I didn't think I would like this, but I really actually quite enjoyed it. I found it quite an engaging story from a biopic standpoint. If we go purely to cinematography first, a lot of the shots are internal shots of buildings and that. There's not too much like massive grandiose dune shots, if any. But the way that they shot her apartment and stuff like that, I thought was really really good because again, going to the story versus or balancing with the cinematography, it's a lot of this is in her mind. Like when she's getting interviewed and stuff like that, it's like, is she really being interviewed, or is this her like recapping her career and stuff? And right at the end, when the orchestra is in her apartment as she's singing, I thought that was just really well done because it's a long, like a lot of like long, like not corridor shots because it's not a corridor, but like room going into room going into room shots. I thought was excellent, and some of the theater shots when she's rehearsing for her comeback that's not going to be a comeback kind of thing, I thought were excellent. So I thought it was like, I don't know if it's like Oscar worthy, but I thought it was a very like delicately shot film, if that makes sense. Like there's nothing, like I say, bombastic about it. It's just right shots at the right time, capturing the moment essentially. And I thought Angelina Jolie was really really good. She's not an actress that I would say is a top tier one from anything that I've really watched her in. I don't think she's one that I would be like, listed her as like an A tier performer. But I thought she was absolutely brilliant in this, to be honest.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's from the same guy that did Spencer, and of course, he also did El Conde as well.
Yes.
Like, so he's obviously, the cinematography side of things. He has an eye for that kind of thing. So, a lot of the shots did remind me of Spencer, and like the internal kind of like, it's almost like the internal shots are a character in themselves kind of thing. So I did like that part of things. From story wise, I enjoyed Spencer more, to be perfectly honest. Which is which is just obviously personal preference. The story didn't quite grab me as such, but certainly the performance of Angelina Jolie was great. And again, the cinematography I thought was really good. Right, same. I don't know if it's Oscar worthy as such, but I think with the fact that he's had his last two films had been both. I don't know. I can't remember if Spencer was nominated for cinematography, but obviously Al Conde was.
Yeah.
Spencer was definitely nominated for Kristen Stewart. But there's obviously like the Oscar sort of pedigree there, so I understand why it's been nominated. And from a cinematography point, it was good. But yeah, story was all right. It didn't quite grab me as such. Todd?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll be honest, it bored me a bit. But I didn't enjoy Spencer either. It wasn't for me. It's that style of sort of like, it's a straight biopic. I know there's elements of it that are a little bit more, like you say, in the head and stuff. But yeah, in terms of cinematography, though, I thought it was competently shot. I thought delicate. I think is a great word, Collie. I think that's a really really good way of putting it. I love the door shots, like where it was almost as if you were kind of not invited in and like sort of snooping on a conversation and listening in from the doorway. I thought that was really cool, and I like the mix of like the documentary style filming, with the handheld camera and stuff. I thought that was a really cool choice. Made it feel, if I wasn't already aware that it was a biopic of a real person, it would make it feel a little bit more real, I suppose. Yeah, like I say, really well shot, really well shot. A lot like felt intimate as well. There was a lot of angles where it felt like you were sorry, I'm contradicting myself a little bit. There was times where you were in the doorway and felt like you weren't welcome in the conversation, and then there were times where you were like, when she was talking to Corey Smith McPhee's character quite a bit in terms of like him asking these sort of intrusive questions where you're right in a face, like you sort of up here where the sun is right now. Yeah, like doom it. Yeah, I thought that was really really well done. Like I say, I don't think it's to the level of Amelia Perez in terms of cinematography, but I don't think it's reaching even. And I know, like you're saying about these grand shots, but I don't even think it's reaching sort of some of the more indoor shots of other things. I don't think it's that good.
Fair enough. Right, we'll move on to the next one, which is Nosferatu, our old friend Robert Eggers film, of course. College, what kicks off on Nosferatu?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say this is like peak Robert Eggers. He just gets more and more. I don't know. He's got more and more of a trademark look of his films or whatever. And again, only chance to talk about this film, but I absolutely loved it. Seen it a few times in the cinema. I actually just watched it again last night with Percy, who'd never seen it before, and he was blown away by it as well. Few standout shots is the one where Nicholas Holt's character's in the woods and you're just looking down and you see the carriage coming towards him, just like absolutely stunning. And the shot that was, I wish it wasn't in the trailer, but the hand going over the town, I really wish that wasn't in the trailer, but just absolutely gorgeous. And some of the shots of Orlok, especially like when you're just meeting him and it's only lit by like candlelight and stuff like that in his house is amazing. And probably my favorite shot of the whole movie is when he stands up in his coffin and you see everything, you know. But no, just such a good looking film, so stylistic. Another one, again, it was in the trailer. I love watching movie trailers and I watch movie trailer breakdowns and stuff, and then quite often afterwards I'm like, why did I watch that much? Because it doesn't spoil the movie per se, but it would have been cool to see them the first time. And it's what's the little gremlin guy's name, whatever his name is. It's something
Knock.
Knock, yeah. The shot with him on the ground when he's like naked, he's got the candles around him, and he's got the pentagram and the book and stuff like that. Like that first shot of him like leant over and he's whatever the fuck he's doing, like carving something or whatever the fuck. That was just like holy shit, that's so sinister. Yeah, I just thought like a couple of shots again that were in the trailer but carried over to the film were amazing.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think it's as you say, it's the most Robert Eggers of a Robert Eggers film, which I absolutely loved. I again I gave that 5 star. Well, sorry, spoiler. I love that film so much. It was just like after watching it first in the cinema, like I was absolutely blown away from minute one to the end. Um, it's just an incredible film, and you're right. I love the whole natural lighting, and I think it just adds to the sinisterness of everything that happens. Yeah, it's just a phenomenal film with some wonderful shots, and I believe the shadowy hand over like the town and stuff. I think that's like a reference to the like original film. I think that's kind of what they did and stuff as well. But yeah, it just absolutely looks phenomenal. It's just an incredible film. Todd.
Yeah, just like you say, he's got such a style about him that he knows what he's doing. And I think on the subject of trailers, Jordan Peele's another one where you could put Robert Eggers' new film coming soon, and that would be the trailer, and I'd go and watch it. Like I'd just be there because I know that he doesn't make shit films. The fire, just on some moments that we haven't touched on already. The fire when Willem Dafoe sets that tomb alight, and he's just like maniacally laughing and just having the best time is so well shot. Just the streets, like that sort of, you get such a feel for time and place. And that's incredible. Like you say about I've not watched the original all the way through. I've seen clips of it, but even that you can see the references and stuff, like when he's going up the stairs and he does that sort of like hunched over as he moves up, and then even the hand, the shadow of the hand on the door handle, like just as he twists it. But at the end, that sort of it's a genuinely like beautiful shot of a disgusting, like where obviously Orlok's laid on top of Lily Rose Depp, and you can see all like the sort of his bones and all that kind of thing. And it goes from that's beautifully lit to Willem Dafoe in the mirror, as he closes the film. I thought that, like, I could sit and watch that on a loop, just that last 5 minutes. Yeah, perfectly shot. Is for that to come out in January for us over here, and for it to be like, oh, he is a film of the year contender already. Spoilers again, but like, it is ridiculous. It's just out of this world. Can't wait to watch it again, because
Good stuff.
we won't be talking about it again, will we? So,
Yeah. Let's do Eggers revisited 10 years down the line.
Yeah, that shot of Orlok lying on top of Lily Rose Depp. Percy just unmuted his mic and was like, "Never skip leg day," because he's just got these shitty bloody legs.
Sticks.
I was like, the boy's got poor glutes. He needs to work on the glutes.
Oh me. Okay, look, moving on to the next one in cinematography is The Brutalist, a film we'll talk about quite a bit, so we can probably keep it a bit more to the cinematography side of things. So Todd, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so one of the things that I loved about The Brutalist was the cinematography. Like that first shot, not the first shot, but the shot of them getting off the boat of the Statue of Liberty. I audibly gasped. Like I was, it. I don't know what it was about it. It just sort of took me, because we've all seen that shot. It's on the posters. I think it was in the trailer as well, and maybe it was because I saw it at the cinema with how like big and grand it was. But every shot in this film felt considered, and I thought that was something really really impressive about it. The conversations felt intimate. In terms of the the actual building that he's putting together and how that was shot was incredible. Yeah, I thought, like I say, it was that first moment for me. It was that first getting off the boat, seeing the Statue of Liberty, and it gave us goosebumps. And I was in from that moment. That gripped me completely. Yeah, I thought it was, like I say, one of the strongest points of this film was the cinematography.
I think as well with
I'm
the
sorry.
no, sorry, with the
Go
boat
on.
shot as well. Like it wasn't even just like the sort of climax of that shot. It was the part before as well, where he's like trying to get past everyone and stuff, and it's it's following him through, kind of like sort of trepidation and they're like not sure what's happening, and it's almost like a sort of a flurry of activity where folk are like, what's happening, blah, blah, blah. But then you follow him through, and then that reveal of the Statue of Liberty like looming over them is incredibly done.
Mhm.
And yeah, absolutely, I think as well, the shots of the building once it's been like fully built and they're like just showing off parts of it. And in fact, I think it's actually at the end when old Sophia is talking about his work, and you're just kind of seeing like almost like stills of the different parts and like what it means and things. Like it's just mind blowing, like how great that cinematography was to show off things like that. I thought it was great. And one of the things, well, which I thought was a really subtle kind of thing, and it's maybe more direction, but it also kind of fits in with cinematography as well. But it's like the uh again, one of the first shots when he's on the bus going to Philadelphia, but you're like seeing it from the bus's point of view, and it's just kind of like as the credits are kind of coming in, it gives you that sort of like sense of you're moving towards like a new thing. I thought that was an incredible choice, and I thought it was very well made for that. Collie?
The opening credits sequence was incredible. Also, I thought like it was really well teased during the film. Was the shot that he kept talking about? He's like, "Oh, the light's gonna show the cross coming into the building and stuff like that." I thought that was really well like teased, and then eventually, obviously, paid off. What are a sequence that really blew me away? Was Italy, the marble
Oh god, yeah.
quarry. Some of the shots
Yeah.
of that was just fucking class. Like even just like the first shot, I think when they first show it and they're just panning across and you see this massive, obviously quarry opening in the earth, and it's just all cut away where they've been harvesting. Harvesting, I don't know. The marble and stuff, and then when the guy takes them in and around the marble and he pours the water
Yeah.
over it and stuff. I just thought it was beautiful. Like, and I seen this in 70mm again at the weekend because I was gonna go and see it in IMAX, but I put it off because I knew that GFT were going to be showing it in 70mm, and it was worth it. It was so good. Like, and I think because the shot it in what's it called, like VistaVision or something like that. I didn't really.
Yeah.
Mark Commode talked about it, like what it actually meant or whatever, or how it was shot, but it kind of it sets it in the time. I thought it kind of and I thought on 70mm it really lended it to that because it just kind of gives it that warmer, kind of fuzzier aspect. But yeah, gorgeous film, and even just a lot of the shots when he was first building the library study thing, the shot of him like opening the doors,
Yeah.
and all you see in the room is the like the reading chair. and it's when he like moves it a little bit and stuff, and I'm like, is that all that's going to be in the room? And then see when it's like revealed that that's what it is, I'm like, holy shit! Like I'm not into like architecture or that, but even I was just like, fucking hell, that looks absolutely class. And I think I see somebody like tweet a screenshot of that being like, imagine all the Blu-ray storage or something like that. All those cords and stuff. I thought that was funny. But no, absolutely gorgeous film and blew me away, to be honest. Like, we'll go into all the discourse about it, perhaps, obviously, in second part. But from a pure cinematography level, gorgeous film.
Okay, so a little bit of technical difficulties on my end there. We just spoken about the Brutalist for cinematography. So moving on to the last one in the category, VFX for Wicked. Todd, what do you think about the VFX? Because we're going to talk about Wicked a fair bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because it was it didn't feel as seamless as other films, but I think that was a stylistic choice maybe that it kind of like it was an incredibly stylized film. So those bits that maybe didn't melge as well together. Well, I'm using it. We're using it. We're going forward. It'll be in the dictionary one day. Yeah, those that didn't quite mix with the real, let's say, worked really well. I thought the just the world. Well, I couldn't believe again. I was like, this is really good CGI, and then obviously, as we found out, a lot of it's practical. A lot of it's done real, including, which I thought was amazing, was the I know we talk about VFX, but the turning. I don't know how to describe it. Where like it was the library where everything's turning,
Yeah.
and they're in the rings. I thought that was really cool. And I thought there's got to be some level of CGI to it, but obviously not. That was all practical. The flying monkeys again. We talked about Better Man, and we talked about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Again, looked really cool, but I think weren't done as well. Do you know what I mean? They weren't done as, I don't think they were as believable. Like, I know in that VFX breakdown they were talking about like the feathers and stuff, but that took me out of it a little bit. And I thought I thought the train was a really cool little addition to the CGI. I thought it was really well done. It's I know we'll talk about it more. I think because I didn't connect with the film as well, I struggled to kind of enjoy the visual side of it. But like I say, it was a really well stylized film, and stuck with that style throughout. Yeah,
Fair
Massey.
enough. Yeah, I thought the CGI was brilliant. I thought it was really well done. I thought it's funny you say about the monkeys. I thought that was a really strong part of the CGI as well, to be perfectly honest. Different because it's not obviously like meant to be as realistic as King of the Planet Apes or a Better Man was, but I thought for the actual artistic direction that went down with the monkeys, I thought it was really well done. I thought the CGI was great there, and again that just compounded by the Corridor Crew video that Collie shared to us. Yeah, a lot of it, like, it was more. There was things like that was like big, obviously CGIs, but a lot of it was kind of more subtle CGIs in terms of like they had the sets built, and they kind of did the CGIs around it. Obviously, there was the goat Professor Goat, who I thought was again really well done and felt like a real part of the production and the scene. So yeah, I thought the VFX in terms of Wicked was great. I thought it was really well done. Collie?
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it there when you were saying it just adds to the practical effects. It just it brings out backgrounds. It's the tulip fields at the beginning when they planted them all and they built out the background of that. Even like Munchkin Town or whatever the fuck it's called, Munchkin Land, that was built practically. But then like obviously like background hills and stuff like that were added. But it all looked. It's funny like with films like this, it kind of. I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. Maybe one day when we do Peter Jackson, we'll talk about this more. But it reminded me of the Hobbit films in that it's supposed to be like fantastical and a bit like I don't know, not childish, but it's supposed to look a bit fake and a bit kind of sweet and I don't know. I thought it nailed that really. To be honest, I thought the animals CGI was great because it's like it's the same as like Kingdom of the Planet. You know it's not a real monkey because they're talking or whatever. Whereas like I think it's something bad. I think it's the song when Elphaba, Elfie, we'll say
Alphaba.
Alphaba, follows the goat back to his like wee house and they're having the meeting and stuff. I thought that was really, really well done. And even just stepping away from the animals, because we've all talked about that, the defying gravity sequence when she's flying, I thought that was incredible. Like her cloak like becoming massive almost when she was like hitting that high note, and that I thought it was really, really well done. Again, that's all like fake and CGI, but it just looks like it's part of the film. It doesn't look shoddily done. Going back to all the way back to Romulus, which at the beginning, that some of that looked a bit low res. Like I don't know if that was a budgetary thing, whereas this like all looked super high def, like clean, blended perfectly. Yeah, from purely VFX, because I know we'll go more into the film in other categories. I thought it was really, really well done.
Yep, totally agree. Right, okay, so we have obviously now went through the cinematography and the VFX. So do you want to go back and we can at least then sort of rate the ones that we're going to be, or show what our ratings were for the ones that we're not going to be speaking about going forward. So, firstly, Alien Romulus. Todd?
I think. Sorry.
It was a 5 from me.
Collie?
Yeah, five for me as well.
Yeah, it was a 4 for me, which is not a bad thing. Better Man, Collie?
4 for me.
Todd?
5.
5 for me as well, yeah.
Todd's just living the I like the movies.
Yeah.
Get ready for another one.
Why not?
I say that, and June's a 5 for me.
Kingdom of the Planet Apes. Todd?
I was skipping Amelia Paris.
Well,
sorry, we're not talking about that. Sorry,
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Todd?
3.
Fair.
4 for me for Kingdom.
And I'm in a sandwich with you guys, 3.5.
Yep.
Maria. I'm gonna keep doing that. Collie?
The last time we have to say it.
3.5 for me.
Todd?
2 from me.
Yeah, 2 from me as well. Nosferatu? Collie?
5 for me.
Todd?
Yeah, 5 stars.
5 for me as well. Yep, absolutely. As I spoiled already, but yeah, that's fine. Right, so in terms of best cinematography and VFX, so let's talk about who we want to win and who we think will win. So firstly, cinematography, Collie, want and think.
Both for me is The Brutalist. I'd love for this podcast for me to be a complete Dune 2 loving, like it was Oppenheimer last year for me, but I think The Brutalist just blew me away that little bit more in terms of Dune 2. Dune 2 just built on the amazing cinematography from Dune 1, so I think like The Brutalist deserves to be recognised. So it's a 1 and I think for me.
That's fair. Todd?
So I've gone with Dune 2. I want and think Dune 2 will take it.
What a fanboy.
I know. Pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah, so I want Nosferatu, but I think The Brutalist will take it. Yeah. Okay, VFX, want and think, Todd?
I really want Better Man to win it. I fucking love that film, and I just want it to be an Oscar winner. But I think it's nailed on for Planet of the Apes, for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I don't think they can look past it.
Collie?
I want Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes to win, but I think they will give it to Dune. I think that's based on other awards and stuff like that more than anything. I'd love Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes to win it though for sure, but I think Dune will get recognised for because it got kind of overlooked in other awards. I think it'll get recognised for at least some of the technical ones.
Yeah. I'm the same as Todd. I really want Better Man to do it. But yeah, I think King of the Planet Apes will win that. So yeah,
I think VFX wise, it's a strong category. So like, I'd be happy to be honest with any of them winning it.
Yeah,
it's just obviously some that I prefer.
In cinematography, you want Emilia Perez? You said, is that what you said?
Anyone but Emilia Perez.
Any snubs then, Collie? I think those are.
So I'm really surprised because it's like not different. Well, yeah, different, not original, but different. Nickel Boys.
Yeah,
I feel Nickel Boys definitely should have been recognised, and a little bit of fanboy. Sing Sing should have been Actually, because I thought some of the shots for that were amazing, even like the opening sequence, which we could talk about tomorrow for Sing Sing. But like the opening sequence of the on the stage performance and stuff, I thought was really good. And then just one more for me, Conclave. I thought Conclave was such a well shot film. The kind of aerial shots looking down on all the umbrellas, but even the shot of the explosion coming into the hall and stuff, I thought was just excellent.
Mm-hmm. Nickel Boys was the big one for me, definitely. I thought that was incredibly shot. So yeah, kind of a shame that it didn't get the cinematography nod, and maybe even got a bit of a snub later on, which we'll talk about tomorrow. But Todd, any snubs for yourself?
No, you've touched on all of them for me.
Perfect.
Megalopolis actually for me as well.
Oh yeah, of course. And VFX.
Why not?
Cinematography and VFX.
Yes.
Right, okay. Let us move on to the next category, which is the best animated feature. Again, this is going to be the only time we talk about these, so we can kind of go in a bit more. We'll talk a bit more about them as a whole. So, best animated feature we had Flo, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. So, let's kick off with Flo. Collie, do you want to start us off there?
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was very competently done. It was, what's the name of the program, Massey? You'll know this more than
Blender.
me. Blender. It was all done on Blender, and it's one of those ones that you can tell in a way, but that's not like to the detriment of it. I thought it was really well done. The kind of emotions of the animals, I thought was really well captured. And if we're just talking about general, overall film, because this is the only time we're going to talk about it, the score I thought really helped. And I think in a film like this, if you don't nail the score, then it just completely loses any emotion. So yeah, I thought it was like a cute film, for lack of a better term. I thought it was nice and sweet. Probably one that after like these, I'll never go back and watch again. But I'm really, really glad. I think it's like a worthy nomination for the Oscar. It's up there with all the films that we're going to be talking about. And I'm really glad I got the opportunity to watch it.
Yep, completely agree. I mean, in my review on Letterboxd, I spoke about how I've used Blender once, and it is so hard to use. So to make like a full film from that, like, is mind blowing to me. I totally agree. I think the humanization, but not like too much of the animals helped. Like a bit, you could tell what they were thinking and what they were like saying to each other. And it was a lovely story, obviously, about an animal that has to work with other people not of their species.
Other people.
Well, other animals not of their species to survive. And so what is it? It's not it's the journey, not the destination, isn't it? The journey of finding a new family. I thought it was a good
We'll
story.
come back to that quote in another film
Mm-hmm.
about the destination, not the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a lovely film, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Todd?
Yeah, I think lovely is the word to use for it. I think it was like a nice little sort of like, it was a nice film about some animals. The 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 graphical side of it took me out of it weirdly. I don't know. In particular, the dogs felt very PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 at a push, maybe. Um, and yeah, that took me out of it. I thought it was a really nice story, and I agree about the score. I think when you don't have dialogue and and even then you don't have human characters to rely on, like emotions that we can completely recognize. Like it needs that score. Um, I I love the different like personalities of the animals as well. The capybara in particular was a standout. What a guy! But yeah, it was like I say, nice film. I think it's worthy to be nominated, especially like you say for the feat of making it in Blender and how they've done that. Again, I'm with Collie. It's not one I'll ever revisit. It's not one I don't think I'll ever go back to. But I'm pleased I've watched it. It was a nice film. It was a nice way to it was like a Sunday afternoon, stick it on. Yeah, it was a good film. Not something I'll be revisiting though.
Fair enough. We'll do ratings at the end, right? Of each
It's up to you.
category. I think that's probably going to be best to do. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
sounds good.
Okay, so next one we'll go on to then is Inside Out 2, the obviously Disney Pixar film. Todd, thoughts on Inside Out 2?
I enjoyed it again to an extent. I feel like it's in here because it's like the Disney nomination. If I'm honest, like it didn't feel as I really enjoyed the first one. I didn't feel like this was as necessary. Maybe the additions of people like Ao Debris, who could be in anything and everything. Like, do you know what I mean?
She
She
wasn't in
could
that film, was she?
do what? Oh,
I resisted to making that joke, but yeah, well done, Massey.
right, fair play. She could have been in that film, and I'd have enjoyed it even more. Yeah, she's sensational. Maya Hawke, like these additions worked really really well. The ennui thing really pissed me off. I don't know why. The boredom thing really really pissed me off. I was just like, stop, like. I don't know. It felt like it was shoehorned in, and it didn't get in. And I am famously a Phyllis hater from The Office in terms of both as a character and an actor. I don't get her, and I feel like she was just more Phyllis in this, which is her role, and that bored me. So they were my main gripes. But like again, it was a really cool, really good addition, nice story, but I felt like it was an unnecessary sequel that did some really good things, wasn't for me. And I'll watch the first one again. I won't be watching this one again.
Fair enough. Collie?
I enjoyed this more on rewatch. The first time I watched it, I was a bit underwhelmed because I do love the first one so much. But having rewatched it a few times for this, I did enjoy it more and more. It's definitely the lesser of the two films, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I like the additional characters for sure. Some of the AO like sound booth clips that you see are actually recording. They're really really good. So obviously they were really like into the characters, and that kind of came through with the film. There's one sequence I think that you'll probably talk about, Massa, because you discuss it in your review, so I won't go ahead and discuss it right now. But from the emotion side of things, like it kind of felt like a rerun of the first film in terms of like, oh, we need to go and explore the back of the mind kind of again, and where's Bing Bong, and stuff like that. Because that's one thing, there wasn't really an emotional moment like Bing Bong in the first. It is Bing Bong, is it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's Bing Bong. Yeah. There's not that emotional like sad moment, I guess, in this that kind of hooked me to the first one, I guess. But solidly done. The animation, like they know what they're doing at the end of the day, and the lighting and stuff, and all the colors, obviously, of even the new emotions, and that was good. I thought whatever they call it, with all the strands were going down into the pool or whatever. I thought that was gorgeous. I thought that was so well done. It reminded me a little bit of like the Avatar films, like when they're in the Tree of Life and stuff like that. I thought it was really, really cool. And yeah, like watching it on a big TV with like 4K full HDR and stuff like that, it looks gorgeous. But the story just didn't hook me as much.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's almost a retread of the first film, but just with that additional characters. But I think the additional characters were such a great addition to the film. Yeah, I think the bit you're talking about is the anxiety attack and that. Yeah. I thought that was incredibly well done. As someone who suffered from anxiety attacks before and things, it was like a well represented kind of like the way of how it kind of feels and stuff, and like from Riley's point of view, when like sort of Vision goes and has to like try and ground herself by thinking about what she's seeing and smelling and hearing and touching, but also from the inside where there's like the complete overtaken from the anxiety and the animation for that, and how that like kind of took over the whole emotion side of things, I thought was incredibly well done. But yeah, I totally agree. I think that the story wise, it's maybe it is a weaker film than the first one, but it had really good sort of heart behind it for me, and I thought it was really well made and really well done. So yeah, I thought it was a very good film. But I agree, first one's is better. Okay, move on to the next one. Memoir of a Snail. Todd, do you want to kick us off on this?
So this was one that I put off watching just because I couldn't get a showing of it and stuff, and ended up going almost last minute in terms of recording. And I think I put it off because I didn't know anything about it. The name put me off a bit. I don't know why. Like I was just like, oh god, this has got to be shite. And maybe I went in with such low expectations that it changed it. This is for me one of the best films of the year. Like it blew me away. Like the message, the animation style, the performances, the voice performances, I thought were incredible. I love how like when we were talking about it in like the group chat and stuff, and there was like a review that said it's funny and it's filthy and it's heartbreaking. I was like, how can it be? And when it hits all those beats, it just blew me away. Like it was very good until that final. I've put in my letterbox review, but that final letter from the old woman talking about like how to live life and stuff, and then those last 10 to 15 minutes, spoilers, I know we've said this before, like we'll spoil everything, but her being reunited didn't feel cheesy or like overdone. It felt right. It's one of those films that I think is going to get overlooked in a big way. um and it shouldn't, because it is phenomenal. It's one that if I can get a physical edition, I will, but it's something I'll want to watch on a loop. Yeah, it was incredible.
Good. Yeah, for me it was like I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Again, like in my letterbox review, I said I enjoyed it, but it was so like dreary and depressing. Like it just felt like it was bad thing after bad thing after bad thing after bad thing happening to her. But I do think it kind of paid off in the end. I audibly gasped when they reunited at the end. Like that was like I didn't expect that. I thought that was nice. But Pinky's a star of the show. Like she's absolutely incredible. Some of like the one liners and stuff as well. Which was talking about like it's like something about how I only feel how old I look and I look like an old testicle or something like that. Like it just like it's like yeah, it's brilliant. Like her inclusion was great, and I think it was desperately needed for the film. But yeah, I didn't know Sarah Snook was Australian. Obviously after listening to her in this, I kind of delved a bit deeper and saw that, and I thought her constant kind of depressive like voice acting was really good. I thought it really fit things perfectly, and I think the animation fit the tone of the story perfectly as well. So yeah, I thought it was a very well made film for me. Yeah, it was just so depressing. Collie.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so good. It was so like it was dreary and stuff, but I was just laughing through the most. Like it seemed to be like it would tell you something depressing, but then there'd be like something funny or stupid happen. Like even as silly as it is when their dad dies and they're just on the sofa clapping, and then they realize that obviously he's not waking up, and you're like, oh, that's really sad. But it's just funny that they're just clapping to wake their dad up because is it sleep apnea he's got?
I think so. Yeah.
Or whatever he's got that when he falls asleep in that. But yeah, I just thought it was brilliant. I thought it just hit, like you say, Todd, like it just hits every note of the funny, the heartbreaking, the filthy, like the fact that like her foster parents are swingers. It's just it's like a random film in a way. But I just think I was low expectations going in terms of like I'm just gonna watch this for podcast, never watch it again. But I think similar to you, Todd, I think this is a film that I'll watch more and more, and I think my rating of it will go higher and higher. I just thought it was class, just so different, and really, really glad that it's getting recognised. Even if it's like forgotten, the fact that it's Oscar nominated, I think is a win in itself for this style of animation. I think Kermode was talking about it, and he was comparing it, or he'd heard it being compared to Anomalisa. I don't know if you guys have seen Anomalisa
seen
I've
before.
that,
not
no.
seen it, but no.
And that's like an adult animated film. I definitely recommend watching it if you've not seen it. It's not. It's a similar vein, but like Memoir of a Snail goes off in one direction, and Anomalisa goes off in another direction. And Memoir of a Snail is much funnier. Animalisa is fucking depressing, like really depressing. But but no, like I can't say too much more than that. I just really, really enjoyed it.
Just on the filthy side of the filthy side of it, the more adult side of it, the judge who like where he gets caught knocking himself off in the court, like I didn't literally only till the last 5 minutes. Did you see who voiced that?
Yeah,
The judge is Eric Banner. Like
Oh,
of all the like that, it just for such. I mean, he's in it for like what 4 minutes, something like
yeah.
that. I just thought that was really
he's
cool.
Aussie as well, is he? So he's just obviously
Yeah.
wanting to support Aussie films. I think because I think
Mhm.
Nick Cave's in it as well. I'm sure Nick Cave's in it.
Mhm.
He's like is the second husband or something like that of Pinky or so. He's
Oh,
somewhere in it anyway. But like again, Australian guy just obviously wanting to support Australian art, which I think is really really cool.
Definitely.
it would make sense that that's Nick Cave as the second because he's the
Yeah.
one who writes the filthy love letter, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like so that would make sense of him being
At
on
least it's
board.
better than his fucking Gladiator 2 script. But anyway,
The less said about that, the better.
yeah.
Okay, on to the next one is Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. Todd.
Yeah, it's just a sort of a revisiting of two characters that I've grown up with. It just felt like just going back. I loved he's gone, Feathers McGraw. Like the fact that he's back, and I know there's a statue of him and all sorts now. Everybody's sort of gone wild for him, but like it was again, it's that I'd like to know how I would feel about it if I didn't have the nostalgia for the wrong trousers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I loved it. Again, when you talk about like Disney knowing what they're doing, and I'm not saying by any stretch that Aardman are on the scale of like the mega corporation that is Disney, but like they know what they're doing. They know how to kind of put things together. For me, it's the little things. It's like the inventions and stuff and how intricate they are. Like that must be an absolute pain in the ass to put together. Like with it being stop motion. Yeah, loved it. Again, it's one of those that I rated highly, and it's probably the highest rated one that I'll never go back to. I don't know. I haven't watched any Wallace and Gromit in years, and it was such a big part of my childhood. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Probably won't watch it again.
Just to jump in, because obviously I'm kind of opposite you, and you said about it'd be interesting to see how you rate it without the nostalgia for it. I don't have the nostalgia for Wallace and Gromit. I've never really watched Wallace and Gromit. I just knew the characters, but never watched any of the films and stuff. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. It was. I think again some of the stuff that maybe referenced old things I didn't quite get because I'd never really seen them before. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought the animation, the stop motion was really really well done. Um, I love Gromit. I love the little gnome as well. Reese Shearsmith obviously voiced. I thought that was again a fun thing. And the Feathers McGraw, like again, I knew the character, but I didn't know like what he was about. But he was very menacing in this film. So yeah, I thought it was good fun. It was great. I don't think it was one of the better ones in the category, to be perfectly honest. But no, I enjoyed it. Collie.
I thought it was brilliant. I'm like Todd. I've grew up watching Wallace and Gromit, and I was pissing myself laughing through the whole thing. Like I watched it on Christmas. I think I watched it on Christmas or maybe Boxing Day, when it was first released. And yeah, so funny. The two police folk as well were just cracking me up all the way through it. And it's when they're like got the binoculars on and the young rookie's like, oh, it's Feathers McGraw. And then the chief's just like, nah, it's just a nun or whatever, because he's just got the nun outfit on. Like, just so stupid, but really, really funny. And the animation's incredible. Like, so well done. Like, so painstakingly done. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And the bit where Feathers is in the zoo and he's got the big like arm thing and he's like holding the guy's nose when he sneezing, and that's just so funny. And like guessing Wallace's password, and he's just like scratching his head, like even just stuff like scratching his head. It just made me laugh constantly. And then he looks at the photo and he's just like cheese, and that's the password. And then I seen somebody tweet about this at the time. Wow, why would he have the setting to make the gnomes evil? Like, why was an inventor? Would you have that included? And it's like, mate, you're watching a film about a penguin who puts on a glove on his head and becomes a chicken, and everyone thinks he's a chicken. And and there's a like, what are we talking about here? Someone's like, oh, I don't really think it's believable because you know, like, what are we talking about here?
Oh
There's a
god.
submarine in somebody's basement or whatever, and there's somehow like sewers underneath a small English town that can carry a submarine. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? But yeah, I fucking loved it. I thought it was so good. And again, like, I'll watch this constantly, and I think my rating of it will go up and up until it hits the full whammy.
Good stuff. Okay, look, we will move on to the final film in the best animated feature category, which is The Wild Robot. Collie.
Uh, Floored by this film, to be honest. Like, absolutely floored by it. It's DreamWorks, is it? So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of know their style because I similar to like to Inside Out 2. That's Pixar's style. Like you can kind of tell they've got a certain type of like humans and stuff like that. And I think like DreamWorks wise, you can just tell it's a DreamWorks production. I thought the voice cast were incredible. But what stood out for me and what like definitely made me emotional throughout it and a number of times was the score. I thought the score in this was just incredible. I think I've said incredible too many times, but still. um, yeah, just blew me away. Watched this numerous times, and this will be definitely one that I was gonna say watch a lot, but it's kind of I'm gonna have to watch it. Like it'll be one of those ones, you know, like then there's films that you want to watch that you want to make you cry if you're just wanting a good cry. This will be a film that'll be like, right, I feel like I need to let out something. I'm gonna watch it because I know that it's gonna get me, and it doesn't just get you once; it gets you multiple times.
Absolutely, it definitely had me going a couple of times, like with the sort of leaving with his flock and stuff, and then not knowing whether to come back and things. Yeah, I thought it was a wonderful film. Again, yeah, you're right. The score, the sound design, just in general, of just the whole thing, I thought was exquisite. It was absolutely perfect. And yeah, the animation is absolutely spot on. It's there's some really incredible like looking moments in this, like genuinely like cinematography worthy moments. It just looks absolutely phenomenal, and is a wonderful like heartfelt story. And yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And you're right. I think out of all of them, this is the one that I would be willing to watch multiple times more than the others. Not because I didn't like the others, but I think this one is the one that allows me to. I would allow myself to enjoy on what and on more watches. So yeah, absolutely. Todd.
Yeah, the score was incredible. It looks where all the geese are flying with Roz running with them geese. That like the bit in the trailer was with the butterflies, and like that looks amazing, and the colors are incredible, and it really like pops off the screen, and like that's what they do really well. But I think just that whole swell of them, everybody moving in the same direction, knocked us. That was incredible. Lupita Nyong'o for me is one of those people who everybody recognizes that she's a great actress, but doesn't get the sort of the plaudits, if that makes like she's not getting the roles. That I don't know whether she's working on different things, but um, and she was amazing. I thought like you can do robot and make it you know, robotic, I suppose, for lack of a better phrase. But like, she doesn't. She's got that heart and stuff. My other standout though was Matt Berry. Like, I love that man and him playing that cocky beaver, where he's like, it was at the end where I put it in my review where he was like, "Say I'm cool and don't lie." Like little throwaway lines like that really got us. Yeah, it was like it again. It hit it didn't hit the filthy element that Memoir of a Snail did, but it like Memoir of a Snail, it hit like all the elements that you want it to. It had the heart. It was funny. It was really well done. But yeah, it's one I'll watch again, and it'll probably be one that I rate high. Not that I can go much higher, but that I'll rate higher on a rewatch.
Good stuff. Okay. Right. So what we'll do is we'll do the again the ratings for each one, and then we can do what we want and what we think will win for the animated feature. So Flo, first of all, Collie,
I give it a 4.
Todd,
3.
it's 4.5 for myself. Inside Out 2, Todd,
3.
Collie,
4.5 for me. It came up from a 4 after just my last watch there. So I watched it in the cinema twice. No, once maybe, twice. And then subsequently I've rewatched it and yeah, bumped up that half star more.
Good stuff. 4.5 for myself. Memoir of a Snail, Collie.
4.5, but that'll be a 5 eventually.
Fair. 4 for me. Todd.
A 5 for me.
Fair enough. Wallace and Gromit, Collie.
4.5 will be a 5.
Todd.
It's a 4 for me.
4 for me as well. Wild Robot was 4.5 for myself. Todd.
4.5 for me.
Collie.
A 5 for me. It went up from a 4.5 after the first 2 watchings.
Great. And so yeah, want to win and think will win. Todd.
I want Memoir of a Snail to win it. I think the Wild Robot will take it.
Good stuff. Collie.
I'm the exact same. I actually just changed mine when we were talking about it to want Memoir and think Wild Robot. I had Wild Robot for both before. And obviously, like, I rate Wild Robot higher, but I just think Memoir of a Snail's like that different, that well done. Like DreamWorks and Pixar winning an Oscar for animated film, like that doesn't really add any like like esteem or whatever to their studio or whatever. Like obviously, like you want the people that made it to be recognized, but they're working as part of a big conglomerate, whereas Memoir of a Snail's, you know, more indie, more just out there. So I'd really like that to win.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm bored and I've gone for both of Wild the Robot. I think that I want and
Wild
think
the
that
Robot?
The Wild the Robot, yeah. The Wilder the Robot. Yeah, I want that to win and think it'll win. Okie doke. Let's go on to the next one.
Oh,
which
do I have
is
to-
this is not quite an Oscar thing. This is the Razzies. This is the worst picture. So we have
the amount of times I've thought of that Interstellar gif that we keep sending each other of Matthew McConaughey banging on the bookcase to himself in the past, going, "Why have we made ourselves the worst picture every year?" Sorry, Massey. Read out the nominees, please.
Yeah, sure, of course. So there's Borderlands, Joker Folie à Deux, Madam Web, Megalopolis, and Reagan. Why don't we get started with Borderlands? Collie, do you want to take us away on Borderlands?
Yeah, sure. So I don't have like any affiliation with the actual gaming side of things with Borderlands. I've never really played one. I've dabbled in, I think it was 2, but never really got round to it. I know number 4 is coming out, so I would like to play them at some point. But I just went in wanting to, you know, watch a decent action film, and I just knew like from the trailers that this was going to be bad. The trailer was like the most egregious Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff ever. It had like, you know, blaring pop rock track or whatever it was, like neon colors, like this is your crew, this is this is that. And the film was even worse than I could have expected. It's fucking shit. Like everyone in it is shit. Like not that I expect much from the cast, to be honest. Like Kevin Hart and that, but fuck me, it's bad. Like Kate Blanchett, actually tell a lie. Kate Blanchett, like what is she doing? What is she doing? Like I've rewatched Lord of the Rings in the cinema a couple of times in the last year, and she's so good as Galadriel, and she's so good as Katharine Hepburn in The Aviator, where she won an Oscar, and then she's doing shit like this. I just don't get it. I just don't get it, and it's fucking shit, and I don't have much else to say.
Oh god, Todd.
So I am like, so I've played all of the games that have come out so far. I love the franchise, and there's so much to play with. There's so much to do, and they just didn't hit any of it. And it, again, aside from Kate Blanchett, it feels like they've chucked together. Oh, who's hot at the minute? Who do we? Oh, Kevin Hart's doing a lot. Can we get him in The Rock? And like, obviously, The Rock's not in it. I have an issue with Jamie Lee Curtis. Obviously, somebody who I have respected for a very long time, until the Everything Everywhere All at Once fiasco, and just kind of she just grinded on me since then. I don't know what it is, but my main issue, and it's not really Ariana Greenblatt, isn't it? That's her name. It's not really her fault, I suppose, because the script and the director have done a dirty. But Tiny Tina's one of my favorite characters, and if you've not played the game, she's this really over the top, bombastic, like almost cringeworthy. Like, and I think this film was scared to be cringeworthy a little bit. Like it played it so safe. It was. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought a lot of the CGI was shit. I thought a lot of the acting was just middle of the road. But for me, Tiny Tina should have been like, if you want to just make a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff, make it. Don't get an IP that like. You know, where people are going to go, well, we expect that character to be that way, and we expect this character to be that way. Yeah, it was almost like it needed a laugh track. That the piss gulch or whatever it was called. What? Like what? Where it felt so cheap. And Eli Roth for me has done some. I like Hostel. I am a not Hostel 2, the first film. I am a Hostel defender. Stick to that. Stick to that because this was dog shit.
Collie, you
Go
got
on.
Just on that note, I do believe he tried to do an R-rated one, and the studio were just like absolutely fucking not. So, as much as like obviously he has to take some of the blame because his name's still on it, and he could have just walked away or whatever. I do believe the studio were just not for his vision of it. So,
Right.
we'll let the bear Jew off a little bit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I like in my letterbox rate as well. Is like I believe it underwent quite a lot of reshoots and changes because of the studio. It was meant to be like an ultra-violent kind of thing. So yeah, I think he gets absolved a little bit of the blame, but it's terrible. It's so bad.
Even the script, like you say, even if you take the violence out and you go, look, we can't have it R-rated. It's got to be PG-13. Okay, but then at least make the jokes land, or do you know what I mean? I get what you're saying, and that's totally fair. But I still think he has a lot to answer for in terms of he was on the press tour and he's like, yeah, I'm a big fan of the games and I really want to do it justice. And even if you can't do the violence and whatever justice, then at least write a script that is coherent, that isn't just like you say, a rip off of every other thing that's come before it. That's my Oh, and fucking sorry, Massey, fucking Jack Black. What was that? Like again, what was that? It wasn't even a performance. Sorry, go on. I can't verbalize it. I can't verbalize what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Massey. Sorry.
Just everyone was bad, as you've said as well. I don't understand putting Kevin Hart in the straight man role. That didn't make sense to me either.
Yeah,
like,
that was bizarre.
So strange. He's like his humor is probably hit or miss, and I can appreciate that. But putting him in a film and not giving him any humor to do, like, just doesn't make any sense to me. Jamie Lee Curtis was Borderlands on offensive. Like it was like it felt like she was playing like a parody of Rain Man. Like she was like trying to do the whole an autistic person kind of. I thought it was horrible. Yeah, you're right. I think Jack Black was going through the motions, just doing nothing. It was there was one bit that landed for me, and it was so stupid. That's the only thing. It was the part where the is it a psycho they're called? The like I don't Tiny Tina's like a bodyguard kind of guy. He got splashed with like the pee. And he just screamed out sardine showers like that. Like for some reason, it was just that just got me. But apart from that, everything else was absolutely dog shit. Like, yeah, I don't know if it was because it was so bad, and then like that comes up, and it just kind of caught me off guard. But yeah, bad VFX.
Do we
bad,
move on? It's fucking shit.
So now I'm going to talk more about Borderlands. No, let's move on to the next one, which is Joker Folie à Deux. Collie, start us off with this.
Yeah, sure. So, was this sequel needed? Absolutely not. Was the sequel, planned? Absolutely not. But should it be in the worst picture nominations? I don't think so. I think that's pretty harsh, to be honest. I think the performances are still really, really good. Just going back to my kind of open soliloquy on it, but did it need to be a musical? Absolutely not either. But I think it works, to be honest, for me. I think it's really well shot. I think Brendan Gleeson's good as well. The whole thing about him being killed at the end and he's not the Joker kind of thing. I thought that was a good turn, but it's just more of was this needed? And I think it does lessen my enjoyment of the first one, which it shouldn't really, but it does to an extent, unfortunately. It just kind of, yeah, just like I don't. The first one, I really, really do like the first one, but that's more like of a performance thing. Like the whole fandom that came out the back of that's a bit fucking weird. But I did really enjoy it. We obviously went to see it in the cinema together, Massey. So like it does stick with me because of that. But yeah, shouldn't be worst picture nominated. I think it's got enough redeeming features that it should be. It shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually enjoyed it, like much more than I thought I would as well. There's no way this is a worst picture nominee, especially when, and we'll talk about this more. There's a film that's been nominated for best picture, that should be in this instead. Yeah, I thought I loved the idea that they tried with swing with the music side of things, and I think maybe parts of it didn't quite hit. But I like that they were sort of trying something different. I agree it's not needed as a sequel. It's not needed as a film, but I had fun. I I I, I do like the fact that it's almost like Todd Phillips putting a middle finger up to the people that sort of like idolize the Joker. Because you're right, the fandom to it and some of the stuff that's come out of it is very strange. But yeah, I thought performances were good. Gaga was good as well. Wacky Phoenix was great as normal, and I enjoyed the ending as well. I thought it was like a nice way to let us know that it was an origin story, but not for Arthur Fleck's Joker. It was an origin story almost for the Joker, which kind of sort of sorts out the issue with the last one in that Bruce Wayne was a kid and Arthur Fleck was like a middle-aged man, and people said about that, how can he be his Joker kind of thing. So I thought it was quite a good little retcon of that. Yeah, I had a good time. Don't know what to say. Todd.
I yeah, I don't think it's. We'll get to ratings and stuff. I don't think it's the worst picture. I don't think it deserves, because it was really well made. Like in terms of it looked good. I didn't enjoy the musical side of stuff, but I appreciate that they took a swing. Like, do you know what I mean? And like you said, it's worked for some people. Like if you enjoyed it, and like it isn't like blanket hatred like Borderlands, let's say, for example, where nobody is saying it's a good film. At least some people are finding some solace in it. I just think it was just a mess, and it was just boring. That was the main thing for me. It just felt like in the first one wasn't like a safe film. Do you know what I mean? Like they took some decisions. They took a character that didn't really have much of an origin story in a lot of films, at least. This just felt like going through the motions. I don't know. It wasn't for me. Like you say, Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga. I thought Lady Gaga was the best thing about it. I really, really rate her as an actress and as a singer. I think she's fantastic. Yeah, the musical numbers felt like shoehorned in almost, like as if to be like, we want to make it a musical, let's put this song in here. And that didn't work for me at all, unfortunately. And I think I did suffer a little bit from high expectations, even though the reviews weren't great. I was still like, I'm very much a person who I don't want to read reviews beforehand. And if I hear them, I'm like, no, this is my experience of a film. I'm going in to enjoy it. Maybe I went in with too high expectations, and on a rewatch, it might get better, but it didn't land for me. Didn't land.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is Madam Web. Sort of many memed movie. This one. Colin, what are your thoughts on Madam Web?
Oh, it's shite as well. It's just so amateur. It's just so amateur. Like how's there was one review I was reading. It was like there's a PSP in this film, and it sets this film then in 2003, and it was like Sony made this film, but they also made the PSP. So how do they know? Like, it's stuff like that. I can't even remember what the point was with the PSP, but it just underlined how shit it was. And Dakota Johnson, I don't rate her at all as an actress. Give her our props for the early cancellation of Ellen DeGeneres. We'll give her that. But apart from that, she's never been in anything. I thought, or she was never good in anything. I was going to say in anything good, but she was obviously in The Office very briefly. But yeah, just pretty shite. I thought like the three lassies were pretty shit as well. and yeah, just crap. And I think like, is it the bad guy? There's a secret like it doesn't. It's definitely not him talking and stuff like that.
ADR.
There's
Yeah,
ADR, yeah, like just fucking shit.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's it. The main villain, like 99% of his stuff is just ADR, and you can tell it
Yeah.
as well, which is like films do it. Like a lot of films will do it, but it's done in a way that you don't know it. Um, but for him, he's talking in completely different sentences than what he's saying, and it's just so strange. Like for them to have done that. You're right. I think Dakota Johnson is absolutely just terrible. I think the girls again are terrible as well. I appreciate Sydney Sweeney for trying, like, because apparently she actually looked into the character a lot and like did quite a bit of like training and stuff for it as well. But basically, I think she's made it quite clear that this is for her to do her other passion projects like Immaculate and things like that. So I appreciate that. That's it. It's really really bad. The script's terrible. I don't know if you guys saw this as well, but like the whole thing was that they were making the sort of spin-off of the Spider-Man universe, but not use a Spider-Man. I always thought it was because they weren't allowed to, but they were allowed to. They could have used Spider-Man if they wanted to, but they decided not to, which is just absolutely wild to me, especially in this one where uh, Aunt May has a kid and they kind of like tease that he's going to be called Peter and stuff. It's just so strange. It's like nods and winks to Spider-Man without ever actually having Spider-Man and not having a link. It's a universe without any sort of link with each other, and it's just terrible. It's a really really badly made film. Todd.
Yeah, ADR was egregious, and again, I was just like, "There's no way that it's as bad as everyone's saying it is. There's no way." And like as in the ADR stuff, and it really is. It really is atrocious. Nobody's putting a shift in. Makes Adam Scott look like an average actor. Like he was. I do think Sydney Sweeney gives it a bit, and I think Adam Scott tries as well, and neither of them come out looking good. Do you know what I mean? They both look. They were the best bits. Why was it 2 hours long? What a 90-minute film? I mean, it still would have been shite at 90 minutes, but like at least like put us out of our misery quicker. Yeah. The other issue I've got, and it's the last thing I'll say because I'm not going to dwell on it, is what happened. Like, what was the story? Just did. It was 2 hours of nothing, of scene after scene of people sleepwalking through this. Like this, we're in the Spider-Man universe. Appreciate it because this is Spider-Man. And a part of me is like, all right, so they might not have included Spider-Man because they want it to be a Madam Web film or they want it to be a Venom film, and not. But you can still have that little bit, that cameo, the sort of the appearance. And Madam Web in the animated series was really cool. Like, was such a cool character, and it was nothing. It was a nothing film.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I would say as well is for some reason Dakota Johnson just kept stealing cars and like nothing would happen to her. Like stealing like, ambulances, taxis, like it was like Grand Theft Auto. It was just insane. Okay.
That has to be the final nail in the coffin, surely, for Sony Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else planned, I don't think, is there?
No.
Thank fuck.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is Megalopolis. Todd, start us off in Megalopolis.
Yeah. So I've rated this really low, and I've done it for a very specific reason, and that's because it's not like there's some really interesting moments in it, and there's some really cool shots, and Adam Driver's performance is interesting. Like he's trying shit. That's the only. I wouldn't say it's a good performance. I'd say it's interesting. But what I would say is, and again, so when I was watching, because again, I'd seen that clip on Twitter, and I was like, "What is that?" And in the context, he's obviously like he's trying to like mimic her and be like, give her the attitude, but it's just so shit. But like the main issue that I've got with this is that it's so far up its own ass. I was just like, I reckon it was at like 2 or 3 times I've gone, fuck off. Like, it like audibly just told this film to go and fuck itself because it is just like Shia LaBeouf coming in, where in that where the on the suspended thing over the top of the model, and he's like crawling around and that. I was like, what is he doing? What? There's no sense to it. Like, it was a comedy at times, but not intentionally. And they've got like these huge actors, obviously this massive passion project. It was so stupid. So yeah, fuck it. Like, I hated it. Hated it, every bit of it.
Call it.
I thought it was quite fun, to be honest. Like I didn't. It's not good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not good. And like, I'll give Coppola like the longest, piece of string ever in terms of letting him get away with stuff. And to be honest, like, so many folk were like offended and angered by this. At the end of the day, like, it's his own money he's wasting. So who gives a fuck? Like, one of the reviews I seen was like, it's like you've just given an art student like $150 million to spend, and that's what it feels like. But he's a very stylistic guy. Some of the shots were good. Some of the performances, I think he just like let folk have fun. To be completely honest, I don't think he really gave a shit. To be fair, and you can't like you can take that both ways. He didn't give a shit as in terms of like he was just like, yeah, we'll start this little bit of the story and it won't go anywhere, but oh well, like whatever, who cares? And it's just loads of strands of like shite. And if he'd been a bit more cohesive about it, it would have maybe been a better film. I think some of the shots are really interesting, but it's a mess. But I find it quite more funny, to be honest, in terms of like I went fuck off, but not as in like, oh fuck off, that's like annoying like you would in like Madam Web or Borderlands. I just would like went fuck off as in like, oh for fuck's sake, like why have you done that, or what's happening here and stuff. Like I wasn't annoyed by it, and I thought out of all the performances, I thought Aubrey Plaza was really good. Mm-hmm. I thought she was really good. Like, she actually was trying to do something like semi-serious, whereas I think like Adam Driver, love him, but I think he was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna like full send it and see what happens. Whereas Aubrey Plaza, I think like actually, not that Adam Driver didn't make an effort, but I think she was like trying to take it a bit more serious or cohesive, maybe, perhaps. And Natalie Emmanuel was all right as well. I thought that she was decent. Gus Fring was a bit of a waste. I thought he could have been a bit better, but again, like, he's a good actor, so I think maybe he just wasn't as strongly written or that. But it was a big old pile of mess. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was cool. Like, whatever. Like I'm disappointed that it wasn't as good as it could have been, but I'm not annoyed at how like bad it is. I think there's a lot more worse films, and we'll do that at the end. I'll say a couple of films that I feel like should have been nominated instead.
Yeah, I totally agree with yourself, Collie. I actually had a good bit of fun with it. I think you're right with Aubrey Plaza. I feel like she maybe understood it like more, or like the vision of it, which helped. And I thought she was great. But it's like I put in my letterboxd review that there's some scenes that look absolutely phenomenal, and it'll just cut to the worst thing you've ever seen. And it's like, it's one of those things that like you either buy into that or you don't, and I completely appreciate if you don't. But I was kind of bought into it, so I had a bit of fun. And you're absolutely right with the self-financing thing. It's like, who cares what he does with his money? Like, okay, he had to sell a vineyard or whatever it was. Like, all right, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. And then there's no studio to either hold him back, which is either a good or a bad thing, but he's doing what he wants to do. He's an older gentleman who's, one of the best filmmakers there's ever been, or at least has made some of the best films there's ever been. And yeah, let him kind of in his twilight years do what he wants, especially with his own money. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I again, like Joker. Well, it wasn't the same level as Joker, but I don't think it's one of the worst films that's been released this year, to be perfectly honest. Collie.
Yeah, exactly. What?
You were waiting to say something, like you're coiled up.
Yeah, I'm just feeling like when you're talking about like him being like one of the greatest. Like he has like Godfather, Apocalypse Now, Bram Stoker's Dracula, The Conversation, The Outsiders. Like, the guy's like an all-time great. So who gives a fuck what he's doing when he's fucking 85 or whatever? Like, let him just do whatever he wants. Like, it's one of those ones that nobody's forcing people to go see it. So, and a lot of people that, oh, it tarnishes his legacy. It doesn't at all. Like, how can it? Random Mavis appearance.
Mavis.
But yeah, like I don't know. Like he's the guy that's done like the peak of cinema, and he's just like spending his own money. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a fuck? Like my really good friend Mark, me and him were debating Amelia Perez, and like he's like, Megalopolis is one of the worst films I've ever seen, and he rated Amelia Perez 3 out of 5. Spoiler alert: I did not rate it 3 out of 5, and he was like, how can you rate like Amelia Perez lower, if not the same as Megalopolis and stuff? And I was like, look, that's just me, to be honest. Like, I do give him a like a lot of leeway, and I was never going into it being like it's going to be amazing. I was hoping for more. Like, don't get me wrong, I was hoping for a lot more, because like he'd been writing this since like the mid-80s or something like that. Like, it was one of those ones, will it ever happen kind of thing. And yeah, it was a bit of a letdown, but I'm not like devastated by it because oh, I can't go and watch Eddie Coppola now because it's tarnished by Megalopolis. Like, fucking grow up.
Grow up, exactly.
Although he's a
Okay.
bit of a bad guy. I must say he's a bit of a bad guy. Yeah, that
apparently,
did tarnish it a little bit.
Allegedly. I don't want his lawyers coming after
Fuck
us.
him.
His
Rope him,
self-funded
rope
lawyers.
him. Get him to fuck. Get him cancelled. His films are good though.
Okay, let's go on to the final film in the worst picture, and a highlight for myself. Reagan. Todd, thoughts on
No,
Reagan?
Massey, you kick off.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Massey,
No,
kick
I
off.
want you to. I want you to. Go on.
I fucking hated it. Absolute from point one to the end. I just absolutely hated it. It was terribly made. It looked cheap. The performances were just boring. Dennis Quaid as Reagan and his little smarmy smirk that he did throughout the film just annoyed me so much. It felt like to me like they were making a film about Superman, but giving him the skin of Ronald Reagan. Like there was no sort of issues for Ronald Reagan. He got shot and he just like shrugged it off. Essentially, it took 2 seconds for him to do that. He was it was boring propaganda for Ronald Reagan, and like it was terrible from the whole thing. I told you guys that I couldn't watch it all at once. And I actually ended up watching the end of it when I was in the hospital, which I go in every 6 weeks where I sit down, get an infusion for an hour, and I have nothing else to do. So I thought I'd watch the end of it, and I actually enjoyed getting intravenous thing in my veins more than watching Reagan. Collie?
I'd rather shove heroin in my veins than watch this film ever again. Fuck me. Like, what's Dennis Quaid doing? Like, what's he doing? He was in probably, arguably, one of the most iconic like scenes of this year with him eating his fucking shrimpy prawns or whatever the fuck it was in The Substance. And I think he's a really good actor, but like, what's he doing? And this is one of those ones that I think Ronald Reagan is an interesting guy. Like, is coming from an actor to being a president. Like, that's pretty Hollywood, you know, for lack of a better term. So it could have been done a lot better. Why is it being told via a KGB agent kind of thing? It's such a weird way to get there, I thought. And yeah, it was just, the acting was terrible. I thought the script was shite, and just portraying him as like a superhero rather than like a flawed individual, perhaps. It's just a weird choice. It's just propaganda. It's just pure propaganda. And yeah, never gonna watch it again. Like, was just annoyed throughout it, and ended up watching it 3 times. So that's 3 times speed, by the way. I didn't end up watching it 3 times. So I watched it at 3 times speed.
Oh god, Todd.
Yeah, so in me letterbox, I'm just going to go through some of the notes because I was that sort of blown away by how stupid it was. I've written quite a bit down. But just on the superhero thing, I wrote in my review, this film is one step away from giving Reagan a shield mask and making him say on your left. He was Captain America. The poster, you know, the meme video of the guy singing, coming over the mountain
Oh
with
yeah,
the,
he's screaming.
like, that's all I can see in the poster. the shush moment where like all the protesters were having a go on that, and he turned around, he went, and they all of a sudden all these protesters who hate Reagan are like, oh, isn't he such a teddy bear? Like that pissed me off. That was shit. You know, when we were disgusted by Liam Neeson's kiss in Widows, I think this is a worse kiss than Widows. There's a shot of the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was like, all right, that's just a shot. And then they put a weird CGI seagull that just flies by, and it's very clearly a CGI seagull. That pissed me off. Today, Mr. President, we are all Republicans is a direct quote from this film, and I was just like, stop it, please. In the word, like the fact that he said he wanted to tell, he wants to look him in his Russian eyes and say "Nyet," and then at the end he does, and then the worst bit was the Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall is obviously such an iconic quote. And like you said, I think if you made a neutral film about the actual person who Ronald Reagan was and what he did, and you know, obviously the war on drugs and stuff like that, that would be fascinating. But they've somehow managed to make that quote less charismatic. They could have had like a swelling score and like this, you know, they've got as many takes at it as possible, and somehow the real Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall was more charismatic than the one in the film. It was shit. It was. I don't understand. I don't understand how they've made it. Well, I do, because they've got a Republican army who will be, you know, behind them and just absolutely adoring every minute of it. But it was offensively bad in terms of I'm not offended, but it just horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous.
Mm-hmm. The director's biggest film before this one was Bratz. I think that kind of says it
Wow.
all.
Yeah. Not that I say wow, not that I've seen it. Should I be watching it?
Definitely. If you like this film, then yeah,
okay.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. Let's quickly go through our ratings for each one. So, Collie, Borderlands.
Half a star.
Todd.
Half a star. Yeah.
Half a star for me as well. Joker, Folly Ado, Todd.
2.
Collie.
3.
3.5 for me. Madam Web, Collie.
1 for Sydney Sweeney.
Todd.
Half a star.
Half a star for me as well. Megalopolis, I did 2 stars. Todd.
I went 1.
Collie.
Pissed me off.
2.
Pissed me off. And then Reagan. Todd.
Half a star.
Collie.
Half a star.
Half a star for me as well. So, Wants and Thinks will win. Collie.
I want Borderlands to win because like it should have just been a lot better, but I think Megalopolis will win. I think they'll just shit on Coppola.
Fair enough. I obviously want Reagan to win, but I think Madam Web might do it just because of all the meme potential and stuff there's been. Todd?
Yeah, I'm with... sorry, I want Reagan to win it because I just want it to be that sort of that middle finger to it, but I think they're going to... Like, they're a statement sort of thing, the Razzies, aren't they? And I think they'll make the statement of, like, Megalopolis winning it, even though I don't think it's...
Fair enough. Okay, so we're going on to...
I'm just going to say what a couple of films that I feel
sorry,
could have
Stumps,
been,
yeah,
should have
go
been
for it.
nominated for it. The Crow remake could have been nominated for me. I fucking hated that. In a Violent Nature, definitely could have been nominated. Hated that. Strangers Chapter 1, hated that. And of course, Long Legs.
yes.
I'm not with you. But can I just chuck another one in there that I watched
of course.
in anticipation of the Razzies, thinking there's no way that they are leaving out Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, Kiss My Fucking Ass. That was worse than Reagan for me. That was worse than Reagan, and it is the worst film I've watched. Well, last year, I suppose.
It was my lowest rated film last year on my ranked list on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
But then at least we'll get to watch Peter Pan, whatever it was, Return to Neverland, whatever it was for.
I might not watch it until it gets announced for the Razzies.
Yeah.
Because for the fact that like Winnie the Pooh 2 didn't get nominated, but me and Todd both watched it. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. I didn't bother.
No,
I was waiting to see if it got nominated.
We watched it in preparation, and it wasn't even fucking nominated. Jesus.
The problem is, I might watch the Peter Pan one just because
You're
like,
sold.
those
You're like you're
things
into it
that
now.
angry up the yeah. I need to see them all and be like have a franchise of me being pissed off the whole way through. Like that's we'll see. We'll see.
A completionist.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's it. That's the word.
right. Let us get on to the final category for this part. We are all going on to Best Supporting Actress. So the nominees are Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini as Conclave. For Conclave, she doesn't play Conclave.
Has Conclave.
The character Conclave. And then Zoe Saldana in Emilia Perez. Right, let's start off with obviously Monica Barbaro in A Complete Unknown. Collie.
This was a surprising nomination, to be honest, for me. I thought she was good in it, to decent maybe, or sorry, decent to good even. Is this an Oscar-worthy performance? Not for me particularly. It didn't really do anything stand out. Like obviously she was in a lot of scenes with Chalamet, but I think he carried her for the most part, to be honest. Yeah, it was one of those ones that I don't know how many other awards ceremonies she's been like nominated for. Even I know she's not been winning many, but yeah, it was a surprise one for me. Not saying that it's like not good for her to get nominated, but there's other ones that we can talk about at the end of the category that maybe should have been nominated instead. But yeah, just perfectly acceptable, decent, fine, good, whatever you want to say, but just nothing stand out for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I thought and again we'll maybe talk about people that could have been nominated, but I thought there was others that potentially deserved it more than her from the same film. She was fine. I thought the fact she did her own singing and stuff as well was commendable. I thought she had a really good singing voice. She was a really good kind of secondary character to Timothy Chalamet. But I agree with you. I think in those scenes, I think Timothy was clearly above her with that. But yeah, she was all right. She was okay. And didn't do anything too spectacular for me, to be perfectly honest. Todd?
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, we'll get to it, but I think she wasn't the strongest supporting actress in the film. I thought other people did a better job. I thought she was really like say in the live scenes, and especially where they're sharing the mic and a raging with each other. I thought that the chemistry there was fantastic. But again, is that just on her performance? I don't know. Yeah, I thought she was very good, and we'll get to the film, we'll get to the rest of the film at another point. But she added to it. She definitely added to it. But I don't think it's like. I think there are other worthy winners, worthy nominees at least in the film, let alone in other films as well.
Yep. Okay, on to the next one. Ariana Grande in Wicked. Todd, what was your thoughts on her?
Again, I thought she was good. I thought she was the singing. We know what Ariana Grande can do. I'm not like I can't say I'm a fan of her music. Not that I dislike it. I just don't really listen to it. I thought she was fine. I thought she was the quirky sort of character. I think it's I'll be honest. Like across the board, I think it's quite a weak category this year for supporting actress because I don't. When I watched it, there wasn't beats for me where I felt like she was a best supporting actress. I don't see it. Like I said, she wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Singing was outstanding, but we expect that. There isn't a scene where I think, wow, like she took my breath away. Like you talk about cream of the crop type thing, and I don't think she was there. Again, I thought she was good, especially in those opening moments where she's kind of almost finding herself a little bit, and as she changes in her relationship with Elphaba as they go on. I thought she was good. I didn't think she was great.
Fair. I thought she was incredible. I thought she was absolutely phenomenal. I loved her performance from start to finish. I thought from seeing her like being torn when they're singing about the death of Elphaba, or the Wicked Witch of the West, and seeing the way that she's singing and looking up at the effigy of her, I thought that was like incredible sort of acting. There's a lot of like little things that she does that is really incredible. Like there's moments in the songs. There's a point in Popular where she said, and I think actually there's a trivia about it where she scared herself, but she like shouted out right, and she like hits a book, and she like scared herself when she did it. But like that, just like it's little touches like that really elevated the performance for me. I think her performance alongside Cinematography and the chemistry they had each other. We'll get on to Cinematography like in the next episode, but I thought that was a brilliant duo from them, and yeah, of course the singing was absolutely top notch. I thought Ariana Grande was incredible. It was really good. Collie?
Yeah, I thought she was unbelievable. I think like it's one of those ones that it's like born for the role or whatever. Like you would say, like because I believe she wanted to be Elphaba, or like at least growing up. I think she like has previously like performed stuff like Defying Gravity and a few other Wicked numbers that are like Elphaba songs rather than um Glinda's
Glinda.
songs. But I thought she was really good because she's kind of the way because she's like quite small and petite, and I think she plays that popular girl that like looks down upon the the ugly duckling kind of thing really well. It just suits her, and I think she nails it. And going from like no one mourns the wicked at the start, and then obviously flashing back to when she's at school and that, and then getting to know each other, I thought was amazing. And I thought the scene where she tries to embarrass Elphaba with the hat, but then like it's like and then dances with her.
Yeah.
I thought that was excellent. I thought it was really good. And yeah, like Todd said, like we know that she can sing, but even in this, I thought like amazing, really good. And it kind of showed her chops a little bit more acting wise. Like during Defying Gravity, where there's the kind of the intermission bit, not the intermission bits, but like when it's her and Elphaba like talking, and she's like trying to dress her in the cloak and stuff like that. And I thought she was really good.
I think as well because you forget that she started off as an actress, don't you? Okay, it was on
Yes.
Disney shows and stuff, but I think you forget that and you just think of the pop star. So it was good to see her flex those chops. Definitely. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is Felicity Jones in The Brutalist. Collie, start us off there.
So there's like a 50-50 thing on Felicity. Like I like Felicity Jones as an actress, don't get me wrong. And even it's hard to say because obviously all the AI stuff came out like before I'd seen the film. But even as soon as she appeared, I thought there was something like off with her voice or her accent or like whatever. It just didn't seem like it was like not yeah almost like no, it didn't sync with when she was saying it. It just sounded a bit weird. So all during it, I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not really like rating this. Like acting wise, it was good, but there's just something off with the voice. And then the bit that was like, holy shit, was when she confronts Harrison, Guy Pearce, and then his family at the table, and she comes in on her like walker, I guess, for lack of a better term. And she's just so venomous and so like your dad's a rapist and stuff. I was like, holy shit! Like the delivery of that was amazing, and I think for me, that was like made it from a yeah, it's an okay performance. Like I think she's doing well to all of a sudden being like, holy shit! Like Oscar worthy for me. It really was that good, and it really did make me like sit up and notice kind of thing. So yeah, it was like maybe like decent, and then like boom, like excellent. So yeah, it was a performance that definitely grew and then like crescendoed right at the end.
I completely agree. When she first showed up, I was a bit like, okay, right, she's fine. And like throughout, she was a bit mopey and stuff. But then, but when it got to that final scene, like that was great. Also, the when she's like, and I know it's kind of like a smaller part, but when she's like screaming with pain with like her osteoporosis at the night and stuff, like that's like so powerful. Like seeing her in like it felt like genuine pain. It's quite easy to scream screaming kind of thing, but she like you could like her whole body was like you could just tell that she was like felt like she was in proper pain. So yeah, I definitely think her performance got stronger as it was the second part or second half it showed up, but I think as that went
Yeah, it
on,
was
she
just
got
it's,
stronger.
it's the intermissions
Yeah.
in my way to Mir.
Yeah. Todd?
Yeah, I completely echo what both of you are saying. I think she obviously there was a bit of a disservice in terms of like she is only in the second half of the film, but obviously that the story lends it to that. That scene in the dining room was phenomenal. And like you say, I just thought, again, I know what she can do. You know, she's been decent, but it was just that sort of is one moment, I suppose, what you call them, winning for Silence of the Lambs. Like, is that one moment worth the Oscar? Do you know what I mean? Is that in a film that is quite a lengthy film, and she's got quite a lot to do in it, especially in that second half. She's in a large majority of the scenes. It was only, and you're right, that made me stand up and be like, holy shit, she's throwing it all at the wall here. But before that, maybe she wasn't given enough to do. I don't know, but I wasn't like wholly convinced by her. And again, she played it well when she's so broken, and I loved the chemistry between her, or the lack of, I should say, the lack of chemistry between her and Brody, and like her being desperate to be like just be in a relationship again, and Brody not being able to do that. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, she was very good in that scene, and she was decent throughout. I don't think it was like a consistent performance though, and I think that's what I would want.
Fair enough. Right. The next one is Isabella Rossellini playing Conclave. Uh, what did you think of her performance, Todd?
Yeah, so again, we talking a minimum amount of screen time. She is not in this film for a very long time, but I loved what she did. I thought she was. I thought she held her own, and not into it's a male dominated film anyway. I'm not, but that's not where I'm looking at. I'm looking at it more from a sort of, like you say, we only see this character for, I don't know, 20, 15 minutes maybe. I don't know, collective screen time. Like, it's not a lot. You want to say, Colin?
Me,
That to screen
collective.
time underscore.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm still not awake. We should know this. Yeah, it was. And what I think she found a level of balance with that character against the sort of like the sniping and the backstabbing and the sort of like those twists and turns. She was the balance, and I love that about it. I thought she was fantastic, and yeah. Anyway, we'll get to what happens in terms of who I think should win and stuff. But I think she's somebody who I haven't really seen a lot of, and if I have, I haven't recognised her as that fantastic actress. But I thought she was brilliant in this.
Yeah, I agree. I thought she was really good. It's it's more of a subtle kind of thing, you know, compared to like the bigger sort of characters in the Conclave. And I thought she was really good. Obviously, is like the kind, almost like the grounding of everyone sort of thing is how I kind of saw her. But yeah, I thought her performance was brilliant. As I say, she's not in it for like loads. I mean, it's obviously a supporting actress, and it's obviously a very like male heavy film. And but I thought with what she was given and the whole use of her character, I thought was brilliant. I thought it was a really good performance from again an actress like you say, Todd. I don't think I've ever seen before. I was really surprised by her. Coldy?
Yeah, I thought she was really good, but I think it kind of shows exactly what Todd said. I think it's a very weak supporting actress. I wouldn't say year because there's two emissions. I think I would add. I don't know if I would take out her or Monica Barbaro or both, maybe for the other two that I'm saying. I probably would actually, but we'll discuss that at the end. But she did exactly what she was asked to. And from a narrative perspective, her character was obviously quite pivotal for that. I thought the kind of sequence where she's got the sister, I think it is, the one that had come from Africa, and
Yeah.
she's trying to camera and stuff, and she's like trying to like keep Ray Fiennes from coming in. I thought that was really good. Like that was a real good power struggle, but kind of similar to what Todd said about Felicity Jones. Is that one scene enough to be like that's Oscar worthy? So I don't know. I was surprised when she started being nominated in other award ceremonies, and then when she got the Oscar, it kind of made sense because of the other ones. But for me, it's similar to what was said maybe about cinematography and that there's like levels to things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's cool. Like she's being recognised for her acting prowess, but it's just not the level to win this, in my opinion. Especially against some of the other nominees and some of the nominees that were missed out as well.
Fair enough. Okay, on to the final nomination in this category. We have Zoe Saldana and Amelia Perez. Collie, why don't you start us off?
So, like, say what you will about Amelia Perez, I thought Saldana was really, really good in it. like literally the only redeeming thing in it, I would say. Obviously you've seen her in loads of things, and she's always it's well, actually, to be fair, this is, and we can discuss it at some point if you'd like, but is this like, what's it called again? Like nomination fraud, Oscars fraud, awards fraud, or whatever it is. Like, is she the supporting actress? Because technically, I would say that she's the lead, and the person who plays Emilia Perez is supporting, even though it's called Emilia Perez. Like screen time, I'd like to see minute by minute who's on it more. But I think she's like very worthy of the supporting actress nomination. I think she carries the film, obviously. And some of her musical numbers in that are quite good. I didn't really like them per se, but from a technical standpoint, I thought they were good. And yeah, she was, again, the best thing in a pile of shite.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think she's the only redeeming quality of Emilia Perez. I unlike yourself, there was one song, and it's basically her that I enjoyed, or at least kind of liked, and it was El Mal, sorry, and her like physicality and stuff, moving through and dancing thing, I thought was great, was really really well done. And I think she, as you've said there, Collie, is the one redeeming feature for the whole film. Do I think it's an Oscar worthy, like an Oscar winner performance? I don't. Well, I mean, we'll get to that, but I don't know. But yeah, definitely she is the best part of the film for me, certainly. Todd.
Yeah, I again echo what you're saying. I think she's she's the best part of it. But I didn't even think she did that good of a job. I don't. I thought the musical numbers. I thought some of the singing, and obviously that's difficult because it lends itself to the actual music. But I wasn't impressed by how she sang. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't think that that was at a good level. I agree with the physicality thing. I've never really thought about that before. You know, that's not something that's crossed my mind. But yeah, she does have that physicality and sort of those sort of even more weird movements in when she's dancing on the tables and talking about people. And maybe because I had such a dislike of the film, I've struggled to disconnect. Like that's a decent performance in a shit film, but I think I just disengaged with the entire thing, and I'm really going to struggle to be positive about the majority of it. Yeah, so for me, she shouldn't have been nominated. I don't think it's an Oscar-worthy performance by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, we'll get to who should in a bit.
I think, sorry, just touch as well on what Collie said regarding the supporting actress and best actress. I think you're right, Collie. It's like the film is called Emilia Perez, but she is our lens from which we see the film, and we see it from her point of view as well. So surely that's more of a leading actress kind of thing. But looking, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things, and I think they always have something a bit strange every year. That there's always one where like, should that be there, or should that be in another category? So before we kind of say who want to win and who we think will win, College, you want to go through kind of who you thought were snubs and stuff,
So one person that I thought was like quote unquote snubbed, but I think thank fuck they were. Selena Gomez got nominated for supporting actress at the BAFTAs and the Golden Globes for some reason. I don't know why. But if we're going to be positive, I think Rebecca Ferguson should have been nominated for June 2, and Margaret Qualley should have been nominated for The Substance. And if Rebecca Ferguson was nominated, I would have wanted her to win. Like, I think she was that good in June 2 that not only she should have been nominated, she should have won.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also think we spoke about Monica Barbaro. I think I felt Elle Fanning did more and was better performance than her, to be fair. So I would have preferred that. Todd, anyone else you think was snubbed or anything else?
I'm with you on Elle Fanning. I thought she was phenomenal in A Complete Run. I think she was, aside from Timothée Chalamet, who we'll get to, was one of the best bits about that film, and put in a better performance than the majority of these. The other one I would say, no, actually, yeah. And Margaret Qualley was the other one. I cannot physically believe that Margaret Qualley has been overlooked. And I don't know whether it's a case of you know, it's horror, and you look,
Well, you
you've got your
see,
best picture and you've got your best actress, so take them and be happy with it. I
see,
don't.
for, like you say that, but like they've went out their way to like recognize it with
Mhm.
like best picture director and actress. So
Director,
like,
yeah.
why not give it a supporting actress one?
Mhm.
Like, if you're gonna give
Uh,
it something, then give it all. I don't think it's kind of
Mhm.
of the you've had your fill with that. I just think
It's the
it's
only
a
logic I
bad
can
omission.
see. It's the only thing I can see that she is uh, streets ahead of me. For me personally, she like I'm with you on Rebecca Ferguson. I'd go as far as Zendaya had give a better performance than the majority of the nominees here. But Margaret Qualley would have won it for me if she'd have been nominated. She's streets ahead of everyone for me. But again,
So talking about who we'd want to win and who we think will win, Todd, you said Margaret Qualley, but out of these ones, who would you want to win? Think will win?
so I want, and again, I've really Isabella Rossellini. I think more for anything than the amount of time that she's got to. When I said about Felicity Jones, she had, you know, a full film essentially. You know, like a 90-minute go. You know, she was in that film for an hour and a half. And she had that scene that impacted. Where I think at least with Isabella Rossellini, she had that like a short amount of time. It was 8 minutes. I had a quick Google. It was 8 minutes 16 seconds. They clocked
Wow.
that. That's where I'm at. Yeah, that's who I want to win.
Who do you think will win?
And who I think will win is, I think Felicity Jones will take it. I think she'll take it for the Brutalist.
Fair. Collie?
I want Ariana Grande to win it, but I think Saldana will win it. I think I don't think Amelia Perez will win many awards out of all of its nominations, but I think this is one that they'll still give to Saldana.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as yourself. I really want Ariana Grande to win it, and I think Saldana will get it. Going by obviously the previous sort of awards in this award season as well, I think as well it's pretty much a lock on for Saldana. Yeah, less said about Amelia Perez, the better. So that is us at the end of the first part of our Oscars special 2025. We are going to be back again to discuss in part two our best supporting actor, best actress, best actor, best director, and best picture. I'm really excited. This is the kind of meat and bones of things. So we will get into that in the next one. But of course, if you're listening, remember to follow. If you are watching, like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on supporting actress and all the other ones that we've just spoke about. And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Take it easy.
Anyway.